I think it's pretty much going to be that DK is your best option for offlane. Because as you're saying, they need damage, right? I don't think there's a lot of... Unless they go for some Underlord, which doesn't look that good this game versus Nyx. I think they're looking to pick up a mid hero that can rotate and do a lot of magical damage. They already have building damage. They have some decent team fight with the Spectre and Hoodwink. But maybe they...
How about some Lina?
I was thinking about Lina. They need something that goes through Wyvern's heal. Invoker, also fine. I think you have the late game secured. With Spectre, mana burn early on against Raking is good. He can get the shard. It's not the strongest one. Before it was much better since it was a level 20 talent, so you needed to get a bit throughout the mid game to be able to get it. They banned the Storm Spirit. Okay.
It seems like Nyx sort of blocks a lot of the picks that Viking GG would want. I guess it's sort of the strength of the hero when you draft it early like this. It sort of just restricts what the enemy team can pick.
Yeah, because you want all these int nukers against a Wyvern to get through Cold Embrace, but Nyx Assassin loves doing the mana burn on those types of heroes. And now T1, chances are they're still going to send this Leshrac offlane, and, well, actually, Viking GG ban out one of each. They ban out a Death Pro.
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick.
League's assassin.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Enchantress.
Radiant team pick.
Dragon Knight.
Radiant team ban.
The sack.
Dire team ban.
Very, very long time, at least in an official.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for them to show what they're made
10
of.
seconds
This is
remaining.
the online team. This team, I don't believe they attended any LANs.
5 seconds
Keja
remaining.
did as an individual, but the rest of the players, I don't think they did. And we can see the opener, Leshrac plus Nyx Assassin, which is very
Radiant
common.
team ban.
We had a lot of interviews during the second season with Southeast Asian teams, and
Dire
they
team
talked about
ban.
how they scream against the Chinese teams. The Chinese during the first season seemed like the strongest
Radiant
region,
team
and they
ban.
learned a lot, especially Cuckoo. He talked about how it's how he individually learned how to lead the team and not overextend, and we can also see like them implementing some of the Chinese picks into their draft. So you have Nyx Assassin plus a Leshrac. Usually you can't pick Lash into Nyx Assassin.
10
You have tower
seconds
damage coming
remaining.
out. You have this surprise effect. I don't think Invis heroes are particularly
seconds
strong right
remaining.
now because the sentries are so cheap.
I think both teams, they're picking up their tower damage very early. I
Yes.
like this because it sort of allows you to get anything you want with the rest of your
Dire
lineup.
team
Generally,
ban.
this patch is you need tower damage no matter what style you play. Even if you just want to run at them, sometimes you need like the tower damage, so if they run away from you, you can get objectives. If you're playing late game, you need the map control in order to farm better.
And they're going to pick up Enchantress on Viking GG, pretty consistently banned out against
10
European teams.
seconds remaining.
And they ban out the Doom and the Viper first phase. You think
5
Viper is still
seconds
as highly prioritized as it was during Animator? Because last 3 days of the Animator, it was pretty much always first phase banned. Although in yesterday, it wasn't banned that frequently and it wasn't picked that frequently.
I think specifically versus T1, I think Cuckoo plays the best Viper at the Animator.
That's right.
You should ban versus him. Goes Treads Dragonlance. He did 10,000 building damage versus Quincy, even after basically getting completely shut down in lane. So I think it's a perma ban versus T1.
And they will pick up the DK, who's been another favorite. Counters still existing in the pool. We saw Timbersaw be pretty popular, and I'm sure Cuckoo is more than happy to play that. Undying we saw briefly by some Chinese teams, but it kind of fell off after a little while, and plus then your support duo would be Nyx, Undying, probably not great.
One of the reasons why Dragonite is so strong as a hero is you have low cooldown, reliable stun that also gives you tower damage, and you can pick supports who don't have that like stun. We can see here Enchantress plus a Hoodwink, relatively burstable heroes. I wouldn't mind something that like jumps the backline. Is Spectre available? Storm is also relatively good. Not sure where this Lashrak is gonna go. Something from the off lane, I mean, even like mid tiny, I wouldn't mind seeing that, just being able to burst Enchantress and the Hoodwink. Hoodwink very annoying. Like I didn't think that this hero is gonna have such a high win rate during the major.
Yeah, he feels sort of like Skywrath, but he has an AoE stun and he's harder to kill.
Yes.
I mean, a little bit less damage, but he's a good mix. Can do a lot for your team. Was Leshak usually played as a side laner in the SCA China region during DPC?
Yeah, Cuckoo was pretty much the only Leshrac player on T1. I didn't see it on Carl or 23 Savage a single time.
Okay, so if they know that, they have Enchantress, they should probably
10
aim to pick like a
seconds
hero with high kill threat. Because Leshak is vulnerable to offlane, just by nature of being a range
5
hero, you don't have that
seconds remaining.
inbuilt stout shield.
You need something that deals damage during the Winter Wyvern's heal, because you have Hoodwink, which is okay. Ret is not that great, so I wouldn't mind seeing what else is there left in the pool. I always say Invoker because it feels good, builds into Spirit Vessel. You can set up for multiple combos. These heroes are very bad at just playing without mana.
I like
They
Razor.
don't deal damage. Razor's okay.
I like Razor versus those 3 heroes. I think specifically versus Winter Wyvern at the end. It was weird because Winter Wyvern started being a counter to Mars, so Mars stopped being picked as much. I mean, you can't Arena Spear him, he saved whoever got speared. And then people started picking these heroes like Razor versus Winter Wyvern. So Winter Wyvern, he got really high in priority at the major, and then he started to drop off at the end as well.
Viking will pick up the Spectre. I guess they also want to jump the backline, namely with the Wyvern. Which, this is my favorite pairing for the Wyvern plus Lesh, because you get Cold Embraced, you're still able to be very, very useful in a team fight as Leshrac, just Pulse Novaing and Edicting.
Yeah, it's always good to have a
10
follow-up on the
seconds
Winter's Curse as well, which Leshrac and Nyx both provide. Spectre, if you see
5
Leshrac,
seconds remaining.
in my head, I don't really think of Spectre. Is it just like you think you're going to free farm versus a hero cost?
I think it does well. You might need to swap things around. Maybe get a Blade Mail. I'm a big fan of
That sounds good.
like, you can still get like Blade Mail, Echo Saber. I don't mind that, just being able to tank it up. But against Leshrac, it feels really good to have that Blade Mail and being able to jump Wyvern in the back lines. I think they might got surprised with the Spectre pick. I already mentioned that I would love to see T1 picking it up.
And maybe as a little bit of a deny pick, right? Just so that the enemy team can't have it and jump on your Hoodwink.
Yes.
I do feel like T1 have the, like, if they win their offlane this game, I feel like they have a lot of potential to snowball just because of the Spectre pick. So I'm interested to see if Viking will pick more of a sustainable offlaner than DK, or if they'll just put something mid that rotates to keep killing this Leshrac. I do think you want to be able to shut down this hero if he comes into offlane to lane. Otherwise, he takes your tower in a single edict.
23 Savage needs to find a carry hero to deal with this. His Morphling is banned out, his Terrorblade is banned out, his Monkey King is banned out, his Spectre's been picked up. He's gonna go with the Wraith King as a response.
I'm a bit afraid for Viking's damage output. Like Spectre, she needs time to come online. Dragon Knight doesn't provide you with that much damage. It's all tankiness. Enchantress depends which type of a build you go for in this game. Hoodwink, if Viking loses the laning stage, I'm a bit afraid already. Like, these 4 heroes don't strike me like... You need to be able to get even, or be able to, like... you can't lose laning stage with, I would say, 3-4k gold deficit. You're gonna be in a big trouble.
I completely agree. I think since you see a Wraith King, I think it's pretty much going to be that DK is your best option for offlane. Because as you're saying, they need damage, right? I don't think there's a lot of... Unless they go for some Underlord, which doesn't look that good this game versus Nyx.
10 seconds
I think they're
remaining.
looking to pick up a mid-hero that can rotate and do a lot of magical damage. They already
5
have building
seconds
damage. They have some
remaining.
decent team fight with a Spectre and Hoodwink. But maybe they...
How about some Lina?
I was thinking about Lina. They need something that goes through Wyvern's heal. Invoker also fine. I think you have the late game secured with Spectre. Mana burn early on against Breaking is good. He can get the shard. It's not the the strongest one. Before it was much better since it was a level 20 talent, so you needed to get a bit throughout the mid game to be able to get it. They banned the Storm Spirit. Okay.
It seems like Nyx sort of blocks a lot of the picks that Viking GG would want. I guess it's sort of the strength of the hero when you draft it early like this. It sort of just restricts what the enemy team can pick.
Yeah, because you want all these int nukers against a Wyvern to get through Cold Embrace, but Nyx Assassin loves doing the mana burn on those types of heroes. And now T1, chances are they're still going to send this Leshrac offlane, and... Well,
10
actually,
seconds
Viking GG
remaining.
ban out one of each. They ban out a Death Prophet for a mid lane, and they ban out a Darkseer for the offlane.
5
I think that's a really good
remaining.
Darkseer ban. Even if your opponent hasn't played the Leshrac from mid, I think you have to assume that these really high skill players are capable of it.
Well, they actually decide to send the Lesh mid. It's going to be Tidehunter for Cuckoo.
Still puts the pressure against Spectre. Doesn't care too much about the Enchantress. If you block the big camp, Hoodwink probably going to be position 4 in this game. There's not a single spell that Tidehunter is afraid of. Right now,
seconds
T1 with the much stronger team fight. Looking at the Hoodwink Enchantress, these
5
heroes are
seconds
really
remaining.
not strong. They're one of my favorite heroes to kill in game. Besides the Shadow Fiend, it feels like you just get on top of them and they're dead.
They do have the Hoodwink break.
Yeah,
for
they
Tide.
do.
That's all they have, though. It's pretty high execution because they can get removed by crap like Lotus Orb, I think.
Yeah, weak dispels can't take off the break. And they don't really have that much setup for Viking.
I feel
VK
like-
is the only reliable stun.
And this Tide it's very hard to deal with this game. They wanted a mid hero that could sort of do damage and rotate, but you can't rotate on Tidehunter the same way you would have been able to on a Leshrac.
I still feel like a Lina may be up the right alley.
Lina is really good versus Leshrac. I think that was picked at the Animator. Again, though, it's just picking Lina into Nyx is a bit annoying. And they don't...
No one likes to play into Nyx.
Yeah, that's
the
true, that's
problem.
true.
They go with
Choose your
Pango,
hero.
so I believe that... I mean, they can still swap things around.
It's going to be
Boom,
Boom on the
Dragonite, and
DK.
offlane Pango. Okay.
Kezu actually I think he was like rank 1 or like 11k MMR or something. He climbed to it playing Pangolier. So I think he has some confidence on this hero.
It's going to be versus a Wraith King Wyvern.
It's still not a damage that goes through Wyvern, Cold Embrace, so I'm really worried. I've seen so many games throughout the last major where if you don't have anything, you just can't win a fight, and their team fight is much stronger with the Tidehunter. Like, Tide gets one pipe, all the damage coming out from the Viking early on is just completely mitigated. You have good ways of defending the tower, with Wyvern sitting near the tier 1 tower on the top lane if necessary.
10 seconds
They have
remaining.
break mechanic against the Tidehunter, which is really not that great. I'm
5 seconds
heavily
remaining.
favoring
Break.
T1 in this one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know how you kill the Leshrac very easily.
I feel like if Leshrac and Tidehunter walk together, they're just going to take any tower. And I wouldn't want to play pretty much any lineup in Dota if that's the case.
And then even Viking GG can't end the game early. Their only pusher is the DK and I guess the Enchantress, technically. But for tower damage, it's pretty much just DK and Elder Dragon form. So
Their early tower damage is good. Their base break does look hard. The Viking, if they can survive the laning stage and sort of spread out the map, they do have a lot of pick off with DK and Hoodwink. I think they should be able to, but I would agree, like T1's lineup looks very scary to play against.
and I guess my last question, Lacoste, is why the last pick Pango? What is it doing that they needed?
I guess they needed someone to control. They have like Winter's Curse only that goes through it. Edict is also there, not the strongest one, but yeah, as you said, maybe it's just a comfort pick that Kazu really loves to play.
Yeah, he's been, I don't know, making that his signature, perhaps. I feel like the hero was not particularly popular at the Animajor. We would see it be sent mid on occasion, but it's mainly just for the disarm that everyone wants. But we had doubted Viking GG before versus Enigma, and look how that turned out for us. So let's see how their performance handles versus T1 with our casters, the standing Jenkins, and the sitting Sunsfan.
I didn't doubt.
Thank you very much for ruining that intro, Jenkins. My name is Sunsfan, and we found this wild animal off the streets. He refuses to sit down for reasons unknown. How are you doing, young man?
I'm good, son, man. I gotta say, it's an absolute pleasure to cast with you. Ever since Dota Cinema Digital Chaos, I've always wanted to cast with a big millionaire guy like you, big business owner, very successful. It's gonna be a great cast today.
That's great, and you can see production just making it a real hurry here to get into the game, so we don't have to look at us anymore. As Celerate will be spotting out the ward here, so that should be a pretty easy D ward. Whose lineup do you like here, Jenkins?
Well, Viking GG. I like Viking GG. They're using the Arkosh fan pack. I believe that is the S tier fan pack. Celery misspoke when he did his interview yesterday.
Right, everybody has been misspeaking about that apparently.
Yeah, I would agree with that. No, I like this. I like the T1 draft. I think this Lesh Nyx opener is a real pain in the ass to deal with. I mean, just think about what the heroes do together. You've got ridiculous setup stun for the Lesh. You have tower damage. You have a hero in the Nyx that wants to scout and be active and who can set up for the Lesh. They really complement each other well, in my opinion. I think that's why it's such a dangerous opener. On top of the fact that Nyx just would block the Leshrac anyway. It's one of the biggest counters to Lesh in the game.
Right. As we're going to see the bounties spawn here. Of course, T1 having a pretty good showing at the Ana Major. Kez is going to be forced to swashbuckle to the high ground. And then Viking, who, you know, they've been Division 2 for this last season. They went undefeated. They played yesterday, and they destroyed Team Nigma, who also had a good showing at the Ana Major. Do you think that that was maybe an isolation type thing, or do you think Viking are starting to get back up to snuff again?
No, I think Viking are really good. I watched a bunch of their replays, you know, researching for this in the one evening that we had. Of course, Nigma on our flight, they're about the same. And they look really good in their matches. Even when they lose, they tend to do well in the lanes. They tend to lose in like the mid to late game. It's never a stomp. They always do pretty well.
As we can see in this top lane, Shad will be playing the Spectre, and I mean, this is the late game hero, but do they have enough to get to that late game is the real question, because Leshrac, I feel like we've seen a lot of this here in the Ana Major. It's just very high tempo. You get these tower pushes really quickly. You can flash farm the jungle, and then Wraith King has been pretty fast paced as well. Not really going for, again, I think like 6 months ago we were seeing everybody go for Midas into Radiance. Now we're seeing a lot of maybe do go Midas, but you go for the armlet after and you just start to push really fast.
Yeah, you would literally jungle for like 25 minutes before doing anything on that hero. But
that was the NA Classic.
That was the NA Classic. We were very good during that match. But no, it's good at pushing. I mean, the skeletons are... If you don't have a hero to kill the skeletons, it's so annoying to try to stop them from pushing, because you kill them once and it's like, oh, I don't have another nuke available, so they just have to slowly poke them all down, which takes forever.
Yeah, I can see the CS already early in this game. DK, my goodness, actually pretty high CS.
Does DK ever lose lanes? I feel like every single time we see this hero, he's just stomping in CS.
Yeah, but does it matter?
That's true. He kind of does the same thing regardless.
I mean, we have been seeing these Aghanim Scepter come out like in the mid game, and he's just unkillable, but we don't really see like any true damage builds. You see Whitewan gonna get cold embraced by himself, but getting pressured by Kezu now. The lucky shot did connect. Armis trying to create a little space here. What do you think of the Hoodwink? Because this was another kind of NA classic that no other region was using until the Ana Major.
I think we were the only two people that believed in that, because we were the only two people that watched NA.
That's true.
I mean, it's true. It looked good in NA. It's just it looked
okay.
It looked okay. Well, Quincy made it look good. Quincy made it look good.
Of course, they stomped every single game.
Yeah, maybe it's because of the Hoodwink, you know?
Yeah, well, maybe. But yeah, what do you think of this game overall?
Low cooldown stuns, that's always going to be good. I think Viking, I agree with the cost. I'm a little worried about their damage. I think that Kezu's going to have to pop off and have a really good game. Or DK, we can also have Boom pop off to do damage, but they don't just do damage by playing normal.
Right. See Kezu down here. Playing that Pangolier, a hero that we basically didn't see in the Ana Major. The panel kind of talked about it, and I don't know why it was completely... I mean, I think maybe there's one or two picks, but nothing on a consistent level.
Yeah, it's one of those heroes, like, the specialty players will always play it. It really hasn't been nerfed enough to ever completely fall off. You have a lot slower move speed in the ball now, which means that it's harder to hit people, but it's longer, and it's kind of easier to chain stun them when you do hit them because you're not flying everywhere with this like super fast moving ball. So I think it's about the same as it was before, maybe a little bit worse.
And it's kind of funny because we see it in like every position basically. We've seen it at position 4 is probably the most common, but this is position 3. And then yesterday we saw Thompson play mid, and well, it was Thompson, so he did do quite well just from an individual aspect. As bottom lane, okay. We got some damage onto 23 Savage. He's going to get Cold Embrace for now, but he's getting surrounded by Kezu. And Armis going to try to turn this around with his Skelly boys. And Kezu might get first blooded here if he's not careful. Pops that Fairy Fire. The Skeletons are continuing to chase, but it looks like he should survive. And same with 23 Savage. Although Armis popping that Scurry doesn't have anything else to finish him off though, so still no first blood.
Yeah, no spells, and this hero's right clicks are pretty pathetic, although Hoodwink does have good stat gains, so once you hit level 3, level 4, you do start doing pretty decent damage. But Pango, I think a big reason Pango is not much of a hero these days is because he just doesn't win lanes. You're just guaranteed to basically do this in the lane, which is go 15-0 to 22-8 Wraith King. But like this is not because Kezu isn't doing the right thing. Like this is what Pango does in general. He just doesn't win lanes.
That's definitely true. That was a really good Dragon Tail from Tier 1 tower. Carl taking heavy damage as a result. Is bottling up though and should be fine. Nobody in vicinity to actually try and finish him off here.
Did you see Boom like slowly walk towards him like, I'm gonna get you, and then he realized he's a Dragon Knight?
Yeah, not quite 6 yet, so the projectile stun not online, sadly for him.
I like what Carl is doing mid. He's doing some annoying thing where he's using every edict to just harass the tower, because what's the point in harassing a DK? He's just going to regen up.
Right.
And you know that DK is also going to do the same thing to your tower when he gets the ult. You just pop it and tank tower shots and slowly whittle it down. So Carl's like responding to that preemptively, which is really cool. I've actually never seen a Leshrac do that before against DK.
And to talk about the offlaners again, we have Cuckoo on the Tidehunter, who, again, he's basically solo against a Spectre right now, so he is getting ridiculously good farmers. We're going to see Boom finally pop that ult, gets level 6, and that's going to be first blood as Armis takes that for himself. Zephyr takes the tumble, but now Armis taking heavy damage. That's that pulse number. Into the split earth. Celery's in the vicinity as well. It's not going to matter, though. Carl should be able to get a double kill to him. Trying to take out this Wild Wing Ripper. Will be successful for now, but will Celery fall as well as the question, but a TP support with Pango himself. And yeah, Kezu finally gets the trade, but it cost them 2 of their members' lives, and the rotation from Kezu needed.
Dude, Carl was thinking the same thing that I was. You just like chat up there.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, that's
no.
Sorry about that.
Very sad.
Poor animal. What, is that an animal? It's a disgusting little imp.
Everything is an animal, so
that's not true.
Okay.
Consider fungus.
But you're calling that thing a fungus?
Maybe.
Okay.
You know they're very intelligent.
Pretty sure that you're the fungus here.
No, they can solve.
Mistaken.
They can problem solve. Anyway.
Okay. Well, you have to teach me this some other times. I almost called you Cinderin. Jenkins.
God.
Sorry. Apologies. Almost gave you a compliment there. Yeah. But yeah, back to this off lane. Kezu obviously had to be forced to go to the mid lane. His CS not so good. You talked about Pango just not being that great of a laner, but in the meantime, Cuckoo is just having a completely free game on Tide.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason they picked a hero. Spectre Enchantress or Spectre Hoodwink, like none of these combinations is going to pressure a Tide at all. You just go 2 points of Kraken Shell and they do 0 damage to you.
Is under attack.
All rotates top. Oh, okay.
We're going to see the Haunt come out. They really want 23 Savage, and it looks like he will fall here. Celery in the area as well. But like you said, top lane did get pushed, so it'll be a trade of sorts. Of course, this is kind of the standard for any flesh mid.
He has 15 XP from level 6. He is so sad right now. If he had killed like 1 more creep, he just gets 6, and then his team TPs in response to that death.
Whitemon. Oh, doesn't look like the Bushwhack will connect for Armis. He's level 5 right now. Looks like they'll defend this tower for now, but will they actually try to push with anybody else in the vicinity? Yeah, they're going to get surrounded here. A lot of Viking members are on the way down.
Whitemon's got to be careful. I mean, he's not even close to 6, so unless he has a courier coming out with the tome, now it's 7 minutes. That's not happening.
Yeah, they might just be giving up this tower, but will they find him in the meantime? Don't have vision right now. The Tomato tanking up the tower a little bit.
He has only 1 point in Splinter Blast, so this defense, he needs help here. Okay, there's Cuckoo.
On the way now, Whitemon. Now with Cuckoo here, level 7, I mean, he doesn't have a top lane anymore because that tower's already pushed, so we'll see if he can successfully defend here. Very tanky, 2 levels of Kraken Shell.
Right. They can actually bait this though because Whitemount's in position here. They don't know he's there, and he's got 2 points in Cold Embrace, and he's holding the third.
Oh, they might spot him here in just a moment. Oh, still inside the tree line though.
Just being so annoying.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is okay. Well, fair enough, but I don't think Viking are actually going to commit any harder than that. At least not yet. As Boom pops that Dragon Knight ult again, they're just trying to tick away at the tower. And with Celery's help, we'll see if they can be successful with that.
Yeah, the creep is so nice for tanking towers, but unfortunately for Viking, it's 9 minutes in, so there are a decent amount of heroes that can deal with this thing. It's not as potent as when you run at the tower at like 4 or 5 minutes. All just walks up and they have to walk away.
Yeah, this is a hero that I feel like I'm just surprised. I mean, I know you only get 2 bans each in the first phase, but I feel like this hero should be banned more often.
Enchantress?
No, well, sure, Enchantress too, I guess.
Because it gets
just too many heroes. So I was talking about Leshrac. It just feels like always has a good game.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the Nyx opening, it looks really good. It looks a lot better when you have Nyx with the left.
We have an Edict here, but Viking have come to defend. Kezu with that ult coming out with the Sharpshooter on top. This looks to be a potential good, but there's a Winter's Curse. But Bushwhack into the tree, beautifully done. And it looks like Viking will be able to get 2 kills on this defense.
That was super nice execution there. Just stunning the Tide, doing absolutely no damage to him, so he can't crack and shell it off, and the Ravage can't come out. So you can focus down the Leshrac, and then the Curse, I mean, that didn't help. That just caused more chain stuns to happen. That was good for Kezu. I'm sure he was happy about that.
Cuckoo's able to steal that regen rune away. I mean, in terms of like the pace of the game, are you favoring one team or the other right now? Because Shad, he's having in terms of farm, he's doing pretty well right now. And as I say that, of course, the Split Earth will connect into Diabolic and the Impale. Caster's Curse is real. Now what do you think?
There he goes. I think this favors T1, absolutely. No, I think you're always cool with this if you don't have like the pressure lineup. You're kind of fine if the towers aren't going down, which presumably is why they're putting so much emphasis on defending these towers, so that way they're not, because their heroes are not that great at taking towers. I mean, they have the DK, but you've Spectre, you have a Pango who needs the ulti. It's really just the DK, so if you can defend towers and kind of slowly poke away at their towers, I think you're pretty happy if you're Viking right now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
All right, and for Shad on the Spectre is going for the Echo Saber build that we've been seeing so often on basically a lot of these heroes that just don't feel like they should be Echo Saber carries, but the stats that come with it really good. And obviously if you're in Desolate range, I mean, the extra slow is nice, I suppose, but this seems to be like one of the items of the patch, along with the Eon Disc, of course.
Yeah, one of the most annoying things on Spectre is the fact that you can farm pretty fast with Spectral Dagger. It's just that it didn't feel like there were any items that felt good to build on the hero that would give you the ability to spam out the dagger for your jungle camp.
It was previously Blade Mail, but then they changed the recipe for that, right?
Exactly. Blade Mail, people have tried Soul Ring, people even went Meteor Hammer, but those are all kind of like meme builds, even when they were good.
Oh, we have the Acorn Shot into the Bushwhack. Shad is here as well. Sharpshooter does connect. This looks to be the end of Zephyr, although he's not really taking that much damage from Shad right now, but will be enough regardless, and probably the tier 1 to follow. But this will cost them potential tier 1 mid in the meantime. Carl with the dive ball, he'll get it. Rolling Thunders here though from Kezu, see if they can defend again. Gets up a couple procs into the Bushwhack again, but the Cold Embrace does heal him up pretty nicely. Sets up the easy stuns from Kezu. Follow damage right now. As the Ravage finally comes out, it's going to hit 2 heroes into the Split Earth, into the Wraith Fire Blast. 23 Savage is like, okay, well, I was jungling, but I'll get the free kill, I guess.
Very patient from both sides. You can see that Boom, without the DK form, he was kind of angling to walk up and stun Cuckoo, but Cuckoo was keeping his distance, and presumably if Boom had walked up and gotten stun range, he might have Ravaged. It's one of those situations where maybe if you're Boom, the play is to walk up and force the Ravage while Kezu's rolling, because holding that Ravage and using it right after the roll, it's just a free kill on Kezu.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on, I feel like I kind of agree with what the panel was talking about in terms of Vikings lineup, that they don't really, until Spectre has items, they don't really have any damage. Like the Sharpshooter has been pretty clutch so far, but aside from that, like not a whole lot of burst. As we're going to see this smoke here.
I don't know, can they...
Yeah, it's the blink into the Dragon Tail with that Elder Dragon form. He is broken. Again, the Sharpshooter showing its value. And it did take basically the whole team of Viking, but they do get Cuckoo in the end.
Okay, I definitely underestimated how good that break was on Tidehunter, and I say that as a Hoodwink fan. I like this hero a lot. That requires decent execution. I guess with the DK stun, it's easier to set up because it just sets up for the entire duration. Actually,
Radiant's middle
DK
tower has
has only 1 point to Dragon Tail. Breathe Fire, Max, Dragon Blood.
All right.
Max.
Maybe recognizing that they don't have a ton of burst, but yeah, you're right. Like the Dragon Tail has been kind of the. Again, after so many years of Dragon Knight, a different build has arisen, but he's actually going for more of a standard.
I suppose it's like the mid. It's like the mid DK build. He's going for the nuke to scale and to farm quicker. You know, he's going to get the levels, so it does make sense. Maybe you don't need to go for this utility Dragon Tail stun, but I have seen people go for extra points of Dragon's Blood from the mid lane. But once again, it seems like they're okay with just slowly poking away at towers and kind of waiting for the late game Spectre to come online before they do anything too hasty.
Yeah, and 23 Savage. I mean, he's 14 minutes in. He has his armlet working on the Radiance next, and I would assume once that comes online, that's when they will start to get a lot more aggressive. I mean, Cuckoo's side, he has his hood, and going for a Yule Scepter. Okay.
Huh.
What's the Yule Scepter for?
That is interesting. Yule Scepter Tidehunter.
Radiant are
I
scanning.
mean, oh, it's to dispel the Hoodwink Sharp.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's interesting, though, because I was talking about this with Sinan last week, as we might have to hold this thought here. We have a smoke this time from T1, Cuckoo.
Come on, Sprites.
Gonna get off the gush to start things off. Acorn shot into the bushwhack. Carl on the other side of the river, though, so Celery might be the sacrifice if they could just slow him down. And with that stun, we'll ensure the kill.
No.
Eventually. There we go.
Max heal, but still so
Lumen
squishy.
Company. Looks like they're just all going to retreat, so likely no more kills to come. But I always thought that just in general, breaks were not dispellable. But apparently it's a case-by-case basis.
It's case-by-case,
Sharpshooter is the only one now that is dispellable.
See, I was thinking maybe he'd go for a Lotus instead, because, you know, you're tied. That's like already a good item, but I suppose he wants it faster than he would get a Lotus Orb. And I really like this play, by the way, from T1. This is a super nice play where the minute mark just passed, you just got a kill. So you walk into the enemy triangle and take their camps, and now there's a whole minute where the safest place on the map for Viking has no farm. So now they have to farm this like bot lane area, and this is where T1 can kill them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the main reason he's going for the Yules over the Lotus, like you said, to get it early, but I think that kind of aligns with the timing of the Wraith King. With that Radiance going to be coming online, I think they would just want to make sure that they're around the same time.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That does make a lot of sense. And I don't think it's a particularly bad Lotus game or Yule's game either. I think using like DK is annoying for him to just create some distance between you and him. You can use the Pangolier, who's going to be trying to get the roll off, and just interrupting that in general for Pango is annoying. It's not even about getting stunned. It's about like every single time you wind that thing up, getting interrupted.
Yeah, and in theory, dispel shield.
Yeah, true. You know, that's an underrated spell, man. People go in shield crash, 90% damage reduction, waste a bunch of crap on Pango.
Yeah. Still a little situational, depending on how he actually plays it, because sometimes you just get that off during Rolling Thunder anyway, so you can't really use it. But
yeah.
Carl, going to be taking some nice jungle creeps here. Cuckoo, not afraid of anybody. Zephyr by his side, I don't blame him. There's the Winter's Curse, so this is a technical counter to the Pangos. We're going to see the Sharpshooter connecting Kezu, trying to finish him off, but the Breathe Fire's not even going to be enough on top of that, but they're going to lose their Enchantress to start this out. Impale connects onto the Spectre, into the Ravage onto 2, and they're focusing everything they have on the Shad, but a beautiful Bushwhack connecting on 3 members of T1, and now Shad, into the trees he goes. Question is, will he get out? And yeah, they're not even going to look for him. They just assume the Spectral Dagger or TP was out.
This game, to me, looks a lot more like the Animator than some of the other games that we've seen with other teams. I like the fights are so incredibly high skill, where you can see that the Hoodwink doesn't walk into the Winter's Curse and uses the ultimate to try to kill the Winter Wyvern, but the Winter Wyvern heals right at the same time. You have the backline protection coming in from T1. The Tidehunter protects the Winter Wyvern just as he's about to die. Like, this is all super good stuff from both teams.
Yeah, I think the Hoodwink, the reason that she's been kind of showing her prowess is the fact that she can do this.
Yeah, look at this Ravage.
Such long range.
Look at this. Look at the backline protection. Yeah, this is so good.
It was a good Ravage, but you can see the Hoodwink from above, and this was the huge Bushwhack that basically saves Shad overall. Yeah, but the fact that you can do this from the trees, you can do it from such far range. A lot of time you see the Aether Lens come online for Hoodwink. If you can just get value at a Sharpshooter breaking something, then it just becomes a really good pick in general.
I agree, yeah. Like I said, the fight looks really weird because both teams just played it really well, protecting their teammates. So, like, 2 people died when it should have been a lot more.
Yeah. As we see, Armis, as we praise him, will die. Although getting saved for now from Kezu and the scurry online, okay.
The bait,
I mean, survive.
Radiant's courier.
That acorn shot comes out, boom. They might want to fight, but from T1's perspective, 23 Savage is still a recipe away from Radiance, about 1,000 now away from finishing that. I feel like they don't want to commit too hard until that comes online.
He's just been kind of whacking creeps this entire time, hasn't he? He's
that's what you do.
Chilling. I think I'm worried for Viking on that timing. I think that especially with his Yule's pickup too now, we don't have the break to just insta-give the Tidehunter. So this will be a very strong timing from T1.
Yeah, we can see Diffusal getting closer and closer. It's actually gonna be a double Diffusal. That's pretty cool. So Kezu is actually going for that on the Pangolier, which for an offlane that's a little unusual, right? I feel like that if you play it mid, that's a little bit more common.
We did talk about the fact that they need damage, and I think going for this Diffusal potential Maelstrom build will help you do that. And I also just think Diffusal as an item got significantly better for these non-illusion heroes with the buff to the mana burn. The mana burn to damage, that is. So Kezu's going to do a ton of damage, and I think if Pango does come back into the meta, be the item on him. It might be like a second item, maybe it's a first item, I'm not entirely sure. This game is a very different game with the Wraith King being in the game, but this is definitely the item on Pango.
Yeah, you got double Diffusal against both Wraith King and even Lesh to some degree. It's obviously very good because of Pulse Nova, but Eternal Shroud is online though for Carl and Lesh, as we see smoke here from Viking. All right, it's gonna be broken here by Zephyr. They're gonna pop the dust, but there's the instant initiation from Boom. Nice bushwhack again onto 2, but the heal onto Zephyr for now will keep him safe. Carl, in the meantime, getting hit by Kezu's ult. Looks like Zephyr might be the first to fall. Sharpshooter does not connect. I think that's the first miss we've seen all game. Kezu continue on. The Ravage finally comes online after that Rolling Thunder, and it looks like Shad will take a tumble, but another beautiful bushwhack, unfortunately for Viking, does not save their position 1. Wraith King's first life is down. Celery's going to get connected by that split earth. This will be another easy kill for T1 as they continue on. Viking on full retreat without that Spectre. Boom. In the vicinity, though, we see another bushwhack come online. Holds back 23 Savage for now, but I don't think that anything else will likely come from this. Still only a 1K network lead for T1. See, okay, boom. With the blink, Sharpshooter
so close.
Just disconnects there, yeah. I think the Kraken Shell activated, messed that timing up.
Yeah, ironically, that's what he was trying to break.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that was, once again, a fight that was executed really well by both sides. Cuckoo with the patience on his Ravage. He had like a 3 or 4 man Ravage there, just solidifying that fight, saving his team. And he wasn't... It could have been really easy to be impatient with it because his entire team is at like 10-20% HP. So I could see somebody just blowing that before the Pango gets the roll off. And Kezu on the other side, the chain stuns. I mean, he had like 3 people during that fight. That was insane.
We have to say the patience overall from Tide to wait to Ravage until after Rolling Thunder was actually done.
Yeah, look at this chain stun from Kezu. And then like he can Ravage on Tide, and he waits. He's just patient because he knows the roll's about to end. And he wants to hit everybody with it, and he does.
He actually swashbuckled back into the Ravage. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
If Shad was a little bit tankier here, they could have reset, and they could have turned this around. This was not like a remotely imbalanced fight by any means. It was pretty close overall.
And you want to talk about impact, Whitemon with the... Oh, there he goes.
Oh my, all right.
Caster first.
Boom. Yep, kills off the praised Whitemon right there. Gets off that BKB. Kezu with another stun. Actually puts Tidehunter onto the high ground. That's definitely not what he wanted. We'll see if Viking wants to get out of here. But Shad is now in the vicinity. We see the Diffusal coming here as well. Splitter does connect, though. Getting surrounded. Of course, next to trees. You have to be careful. But now he's going to turn around with the right click from 23 Savage. But they're going to be able to destroy Leshrac. And that's another first life. But Shad, extremely low here. The Anchor Smash finishes him off. And 23 Savage, with that Radiance, is going ham right now. They are taking out the supports for now. Triple Impale. And now 23 Savage can just beat the crap out of these kids. Gets the double kill to start things off. Boom. Pretty tanky overall, but he's just getting control to a high degree. And this looks like a definite one fight for T1. And the curse actually cancels the TP here. So Celery lives for quite a while, but 23 Savage and company cleaning up nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but feel like if there was a Blade Mail on Spectre, these fights would be just going completely the opposite direction because there's so much AoE damage that's going out that is just slowly wiping
Do you think a Blade Mail instead of the Echo Saber?
I mean, I think the Echo Saber is just generally a better item these days, so it might not work out. But I'm saying, like, if I'm the Spectre in this game, I look back and I think, okay, what could have happened? Because those fights, man, like they're so damn close. And what a nice 3-man stun, as well as 23 Savage. He was completely out of mana, and he used like 15 wand charges. If he mistimed that even slightly, the guy's just dead with no ulti because of these diffusals.
Yeah, you can see Viking here just trying to do everything they can to take out Carl. They do successfully get him, but it costs them literally everybody after this. As you can see, the Impale
look.
About to come out in ultra slow motion. Frame by frame.
He had 20 HP when he pressed his wand.
Oh, I see, yeah.
If he mistimes that, even look, he had 52 to spare. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do against. There's 2 heroes with a diffusal hitting you.
Yeah, that is true.
That's incredibly hard.
And now he could just go for that shard, so where you don't have to worry about your mana capacity at all in these fights.
I hate that we're looking at a Wraith King being like, what a high skill player. But that really was high skill.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
And now he's got the shard, so he's good. He's Gucci.
Yeah, he has the shard now, and that was a fight where Zephyr did not have Aghanim Scepter. He does now. We've been seeing a lot of first item just with boots. Aghanim Scepters on these Nyxes. Yeah, they're just going to run into Celery, blow them up real quick. So this gives you like the long-range siege, if you will, with that burrow ability. Just upgrade literally all of your abilities here. I think it's 40% damage reduction as well. It's just such a strong item.
It's 50 now. I think they buffed it. Yeah, it's 50% damage reduction. It's so hard to kill him in the whatever the hell it's called, burrow.
I mean, it's really good for high ground defense. How do you feel it works from like pushing high ground?
Radiant's courier
I think anytime you want to control an area and you have Nyx plus Leshrac, the amount of chain stun that comes out from the Nyx Ags and the Leshrac shard, it's stupid. It's one of those combos that, once again, I understand why people first face these 2 heroes together. There's so much that they complement each other, and there's so much that one does that the other completely lacks. So it's such a good opener.
Oh, that's true. Not ready to quite go high ground yet. Obviously, Roshan #1 has not been taken out, so see if T1 wants to get a pick off here with this smoke. Artemis being kind of annoying here with that scurry. Yep, he's going to get the Yules off. Does go into the impaling. Oh my, okay. 23 Savage with the 1 shot essentially.
Yeah, I didn't even see him hit there because of the Hyperstone plus armlet attack speed.
That will open up the Roshan. And all right, that's the buyback. So this indicates Viking definitely know that this is happening and they want to defend. But the question is, can they successfully do so? Down 5k right now.
It's tough to fight into this Nyx Ags right now. You're going to need to take some really important backline pick. I think you need to smoke and get the Winter Wyvern. Or jump with like the DK plus Spectre at the same time.
And T1's being very disciplined here. Not forcing anything. As I say that, they're going to the Roche Pit, they're not forcing it. Although, I mean, they're just super strong right now, so I can't really blame them in the end. Only 4 kills ahead, but it is 4k net worth.
Yeah, those 4 kills were that one team fight that they got like the 4 to 5k gold lead. I would want to fight here if I'm T1. It's like, come on, come fight us. This is our territory.
I mean, with this buyback, it feels like Viking have basically said that they are going to defend as we hear the Rolling Thunder come out. Roshan is not quite dead yet, and Kezu inside the pit, not able to really connect on anybody. Sharpshooter comes out, but not really going to do too much. And now with the Rolling Thunder down, that is a big team fight spelled down overall, and this will just mean T1 gets the Aegis.
Once again, patience from T1. I mean, we're seeing a lot of nothing happening in this game, like visually nothing. But it's to bait something, you know, like Whitemon standing in the trees on bot lane, he was baiting the tide. In that situation, they were baiting out the spells, so that way they could go into Roche after the roll is down. There's no way Viking, I mean, this is an excellent team. There's no way these guys are going to fight if they don't have the Pango roll and the Sharpshooter. So you just bait it out, you literally wait, don't get hit by it, and then go in. It's nothing happening, but it's like it's good nothing happening if you're a T1 fan.
Yeah, for sure. Now they're just going to starve the map, and the question is, how much can they get with this first Aegis? Typically, we never see I shouldn't say never, but the games don't seem to end until second Roche a lot of the time. That seems to be the game ender in a majority of the games, at least that we cast in the Animator, but...
Oh, are they going to try to kill Carl twice?
Okay. Yep, Shad is in the vicinity. You see the break come out. Not really going to do much against the Leshrac, as with that, they are very scared right now. Viking on the run. Zephyr, not going to spot. Oh, he actually does. That was a pretty long TP. But Celery again gets a, I think that's a second cancel TP. I think that would be a 2-star achievement in Dota Plus. Sadly, doesn't work in lobbies. I know you're a big Dota Plus activist.
Huge Dota Plus activist here. Yeah, I'm a silver tier punch with over 1,500 games.
I think that's probably true, actually.
I don't know how people level that up. I'm going to be totally honest. I see these pro players, Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Why they quest? How are these guys ranked 20 in
They do their quest.
And they're questing in pubs.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
The problem I have is when you play a hero and they tell you what item to get and you don't want to buy that item, right? That's when it feels like it's ruined. It's Celery again.
You should ignore it. I mean, just don't do it.
I need the quest, though.
You're right. That is a long TP.
Yeah, I don't. Was he keeping to
maybe Outpost?
The Out? Yeah, maybe.
Radiant's
Either way,
middle
that is the
tower
second
under
cancel
attack.
TP this game. And with that, they're gonna try to go high ground. Okay, boom, pops that. All pops the BKB as well. Look at Zephyr. Some first step back into the enemy base, and he drops dead. So 50 seconds of no Nyx Assassin. Spectre showing off his BKB. Gets Winter's Curse for the time being. But now the right clicks on the Dragon, and he's actually completely surrounded. Finally, the Ravage comes out. Whitemon looks to be living through this engagement. And Kezu finds Whitemon again, gets the shield crash out. See if he can do more damage on top of this. Swashbuckles are starting to add up. Finally get the first life onto 23 Savage, but they're going to just turn this around now. Just 2 farmed on this Wraith King, but they have lost 2 members to 1 only for Viking. And Carl is completely out of mana. Has his Essence Shroud, but see if he can get any man on top of that. They're going to completely surround the Wraith King now. This will be a huge kill for Viking in the trees. Sharpshooter connect. And the impetus with the right click from Chad is enough. And now the focus is onto Carl. This is a huge fight for Viking for sure. This, of course, is the Aegis, so they have to kill him twice. And even once apparently seems to be quite the difficulty.
I think they're questioning it because they know if he comes back, he has full mana. So
Zephyrs here as well. Yeah, very nicely played. Gets up the spike carapace. Here we see the Rolling Thunder's going to connect onto the Nyx Assassin. They're going to lose the Hoodlink for now, but continuing to stun in place. I mean, your Burrow, that's a free stun if you are Kezu in this case. 4-step up to the high ground. Zephyr doing so much work right now. You can see that he's just getting so much regen as well. Now they're going to turn this around onto Spectre. Split Earth connect. Zephyr, he goes quite low. Shiva's pop from Karn. They will actually get him in the end. Dragon Knight's going to be back in 5 seconds. Another Winter's Curse. I believe this is the second BKB that we've seen used in this fight. Very extended fight overall. Yule's into Split Earth. And Carl, some way, somehow, not only lives, but helps get multiple kills on the back end.
All right. I gotta commend Viking for that. Just the way that they're trying to play team fights is so incredibly smart. This is why they have 2 defusals. They're literally just playing to take these slow fights and burn all of the mana of all of these T1 heroes, and then because the mana is burned, they don't have to worry about Carl going in and doing all of this damage, and they're just killing the backlines. You saw that they literally ignored him in that fight. Think of a Tidehunter. Like, you don't really want to kill this hero because he's got this Kraken Shell. It's a pain in the ass to kill him. So burn his mana. He's got 900 mana versus 2400 HP and Kraken Shell. Same with the Wraith King. If this hero's not stunning people, well, he's okay, but especially this Leshrac. If you just burn the Leshrac's mana, you don't have to worry about him doing anything. You don't have to worry about the Aegis, because if Leshrac doesn't have mana, he's completely useless. It's such a cool way of taking team fights. Like, you can win a fight without actually killing anybody.
Wait, are you saying that Viking won that fight?
Yeah.
You really think so?
Yeah. I mean, it was a 4K gold they destroyed. That was 3K at the end. Now they're losing, but...
It basically evened out, I feel like. It's like ends up being a wash.
I mean, it evened out, but you're fighting into an Aegis team that has a lead,
that's
right?
True.
So I think, regardless of who won or lost, I think the way that Viking is playing the fight is incredibly cool.
No, that is interesting to hear.
All of these games that we've seen from Viking so far looks like they're...
Dire's middle tower is
I don't know
under
what
attack.
changed with their captaining, or if it's just been like this since I watched them in DPC Season 1, but it looks like they have a really solid idea of how to play Dota
Dire's
together, and
middle
they're all on
tower is
that
under
same
attack.
page, which is so awesome to see.
So Aegis is now gone, but Carl, Diabolic Edict, and some help from his friends able to take out this tier 2 mid, and they've extended now to 6k, so definitely not insurmountable from Viking's perspective. As let's see what Shad's item progression is. So we saw the BKB, obviously had the defusal a long time ago with the Echo Saber, has the Manta on top of that, and we're going for Scotty right now. What do you think of the BKB on Spectre? It's not something we see all too often.
I suppose it's a way to deal with these ridiculous chain stuns that are coming out. Tidehunter, you kind of need a BKB against in general just to avoid the Ravage, as well as the Anchor Smash, damage reduction. Leshrac, obviously, you need a BKB, which, by the way, Leshrac is going stats. He has no points in Lightning Storm. That's a Chad build. That's the way to play this hero these days.
Yeah, I mean, casting Lightning Storm sometimes feels like it's counterintuitive for the hero.
Yeah.
You want to be up close and personal and moving around all the time.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I really like his build on Lesh, too. This Eternal Shroud Shivas plus Kai and Sanj, and he's got an Essence Ring as well. Like, they're building really tanky on T1 because, well, if you're winning, you build tanky, and the enemy team can't kill you, and you do damage with levels and with spells.
For sure. I mean, talk to me about Shad's build again, though, because, again, I'm not... These feel like... How do I put this?
You don't like his build. You think it's shit.
It feels like medium items. And you get this Scotty, then what? Do you replace Echo Saber with something? You know what I mean?
I guess that my question is, like, what's the replacement on Spectre?
Yeah, boom. Getting initiated on, pops the BKB and just TPs out.
Yeah, no basher or anything, so... Pretty free TP with the BKBs.
Yeah, I assume you sell the Echo Saber after that, right? And then beyond that, I don't know, because it feels like you're not scaling as well as you could be with a lot of the Spectre builds we've seen in the past.
I think one place where the build could be improved is... It's so slow.
Impale and... There we go. They got him. It was slow.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right. This will be a huge call to the latch. We can see a big ult from Kezu. He has that shard in place as well. Carl pops the Bloodstone, which was just picked up recently, healing up to a high 3, and then the Cold Embrace on top of it. He is actually very healthy now, and this means Viking probably on the retreat. Man, that is a lot of heal coming out, I'll tell you what. Shad at half HP, Savage. Gets off the Wraithfire Blast into the Split Earth, and absolutely a kill. 85 seconds of no Shad.
Whitemon is like the secret MVP of this game. Every single time, he's just making these fights impossible to take for Viking. They're trying to play these slow, overtime fights, and Whitemon is like, okay, well, I'm just going to get Cold Embrace off 5 times during the fight.
Cold Embrace with Holy Locket and the level 10 talent for the Cold Embrace heal.
It's nuts. And his positioning has just been really good. Like, everything that we saw in that bottom lane, where he was, like, running through the trees, has been reflected in these team fights as well. He is just not putting himself in a position where he can die, and it's making these fights impossible for Viking.
23 Savage Company looks like they want to go for the Enchantress yet again. Break does come online to Tide, but he doesn't even bother using. Has the Refresher, actually. Oh my, he is quite farmed indeed.
This is a sick build. I love this build.
You can see the Assault Kuros now online for 23 Savage, so pushing will be that much easier for them. Still 30 seconds, no Spectre. He does have buyback now, but they've already lost this rack, so we'll just chillax for now.
How do you fight into this Nyx Ags with a Tide? 2 Ravages.
What is your theory on this Nyx Ags that hasn't really changed over the last year and a half or so? Why is it now being picked up like every single game on this?
There's a few things. Number one, I think that the way that Dota players formulate what's good is that they do it based off of feel, and then they slowly figure out why something feels good. And so my reasoning for why this might feel good is that there's a lot of heroes that can pair with it and that do chain stuns. Kezu.
Yeah, Kezu, the Impale's going to connect with a nice bushwhack counter initiation from Aramis. Has his sharpshooter out as well. But again, Kezu getting stun popped. The BKB finally can try to turn this around. But the big Ravage comes out for Cuckoo. That's the first life onto 23 Savage. Can they kill him again is the question. Kezu's still in that ult form, using that shard to a very high effectiveness. But they're going to lose the Hoodwink to start things out. Impale onto 2 heroes. This thing is such long range. Kezu just continuing to roll. Finally gets the Winter Wyvern. That's a pretty high value kill. But the stun, they're going to get Spectre again. This is a huge kill for T1. And he still doesn't have buyback. He had it originally, but not anymore. Not sure what he bought, but Kezu gets off that shard. Bouncing up. And there's the second Ravage on the rest of Viking. Kezu's forced to buy back into the game. This looks to be the end of game 1 in all likelihood. Although the Swashbuckle dealing quite a bit of damage with that Diffusal. If they want to continue on here.
And once again, another 4-man Ravage from Cuckoo. He's just being really patient. He used the first Ravage, and so, you know, you could argue that's not a patient Ravage or whatever. He used it about when you would expect. But then the second one, it's like he had Refresher for the entirety of that fight. He could have easily ravaged like 2 or 3 heroes, but he didn't need it. He thought that he trusted that his team was fine without it until he could hit the Ravage on literally every single hero that was remaining alive, which obviously is incredibly game-winning.
Yeah. We'll see the second Roche will be a freebie for T1. Shard will come online. Always interested to see who they give this to. Leshrac Shard has been very common. I think Tides is actually great. In this game, doesn't really matter.
You don't need building damage.
I know, but in theory, it's a good shot.
I agree. I think you give it to Lesh for the chain stun.
Yeah,
with the Nyx.
Roshan has fallen to the
He's going to take the Aegis, the cheese, and the Shard is there. And yeah, he'll take that as well. All right, everything for Carl.
I gotta say, Carl's pretty quick at like micromanaging his inventory. You see a lot of these pro players are like rank 10 and still like they're, you know, slowly dropping and picking things up or using arrow keys if they're the combo man.
Is that true?
He does first camera, yeah.
Oh my. That's pretty rough.
Apparently a lot of carry players do.
They're arrows for like moving their...
Literally the arrow keys, yeah.
How is that literally possible? Is Carl? Alright, Bushwhack will actually not connect here. You can see the Agnem Scepter is online for Boom. He's going to get initiated on. He's already at half HP. Supposed to make him tank here. That's not going to happen though. BKB pop doesn't matter. He is dead for 80 seconds. This is going to be a second set of racks for T1. Viking still looking to fight though. 5 versus 4. Shad pops a Manta. We can hear the Rolling Thunder coming online as well. There's the Haunt as well. This is the last-ditch effort from Kezu and company. A nice roll-in overall to start things out, but they have to dodge this split Earth. It's like a little mini-game inside Dota now. He's going to get a nice ult again, connecting up to 2 heroes. That's just the first life on 23 Savage. It just feels like there's just not enough damage right now, and obviously being down 26k might have something to do with that. Celery, the corner of his base, ain't happening.
Yeah, they're trying to play these extended fights by burning everybody's mana. And then Zephyr and 23 Savage are just like, okay, that sounds fine to me. She's getting a crit off every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They call G. Oh, they call G.
Yeah, they call it GG.
I see.
Yeah. Thanks for paying attention, Jack. I really appreciate that. Yeah, T1 looked very good this game. I feel like it was just the time, and we literally talked about
But to go back to itemization a bit, I was a bit skeptical about the Yules on the Tidehunter that game, but in the end it worked out perfectly because Leshrac didn't go for one, so it's a great setup for either Nyx Assassin or a Lesh stun, and also being able to dispel the Hoodwink ulti and just buy a bit more time. Also mana regen, which he ended up going for the refresher, so you need to have that mana to be able to get 2 ultis off.
And game number 2 begins, and T1 end up taking the DK, and they follow it up with the Wyvern. Viking GG stick to their Enchantress, ban out the Doom and Nyx Assassin. T1 ban out Abaddon and Broodmother.
I hope Viking pick damage here. Feel like you see this really tanky DK. Again, the same sort of heal.
Vessel. Great against these two heroes.
To be fair though, one of the reasons why this heal meta exists is because this is damage. I hear damage. That's Timbersaw. Yeah, one of the reasons why Holy Locket got so popular, I think, is because Vessel did get nerfed a bit, right? It used to have like that AoE aura, it used to have move speed in it, they just completely removed that, made the recipe more expensive. But yeah, I would have liked to still see it.
Sure.
It's good.
I would still want to see it even if there's a Timbersaw in the game, which in my opinion is the best hero against Wyvern. You set things up for his abilities, the pure damage coming out, to suddenly minus 10,000 HP. Great against the Dragon Knight, so you could potentially set up the lanes if this is an offlane Dragon Knight, put Timbersaw in 1 versus 1 scenario, run an aggressive tri-lane, with the Enchantress, a lot of things open up for Viking.
And Timbersaw is so good against Wyvern because not only are you good against him in lane, and when he heals someone, you can just keep chunking out that magical damage, but if you curse someone next to Timber, or you curse the Timber next to someone, it does nothing. It's a very high armor against your allies, and it just has no right click at all.
So are you worried about Leshrac at all if T1 get their hands on it, or do you think Timbersaw is enough of an answer to the Wyvern plus Lesh?
I think Leshrac's good versus Timber. It's good versus Ench too, so I can see a Leshrac pick being strong from T1. The one thing about Leshrac for T1 is since our second pick, it will sort of show that Leshrac and Dragon Knight are your 2 and 3 position.
True.
I haven't seen 23 Savage play these heroes, but again, you were mentioning that Carl didn't really play the Leshrac much.
Exactly.
So I guess maybe it's a good pick. It doesn't. They could run the Leshrac 1 and DK still to 2 or 3.
And they ban it out anyway.
They're probably a good ban.
So what other Wyvern pairings are there? We saw Death Prophet be used to some success. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Silence is always valuable against a Timbersaw.
Wyvern pairings? I mean, this hero is good enough right now. I don't think you need a specific pairing for it, but I do think you want some damage to follow up on Curse.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a Finger. Great setup. Lion is available. Feels like the strongest hero off the patch, in my opinion, on top of the Wyvern and Dragon Knight. They go with Spectre. Okay. You need to be careful. Like, Spectre doesn't do that well against the Timbersaw in the lane, especially if it's Wyvern Spectre. They seems relatively weak, so very abusable by a Timbersaw. You get that level 6. Spectre needs to fall back to jungle immediately. You just don't have enough damage. Right now, T1's lineup doesn't do much early on. Like, you're going to be relying on Dragon Knight, moving from one side to another, trying to pressure the towers, because Spectre, it's too long of a cooldown. Level 1 ulti, you need to make stuff done, possibly get a kill, go back to farming. Wyvern doesn't get too many levels. Might be the same scenario as the game before, where he hides in the trees, just soak up the experience near that safe lane tier 1 tower. Viking. Okay, another break mechanic against the Spectre, against the Dragon Knight, not too bad.
It gives them some much needed sun. There is some anti-synergy between Timbersaw and Hoodwink just because you might cut that tree. But I think we're pleasantly surprised at the Animator. That team seemed pretty good about that. They were just casting their spells a bit to the side, being very conscientious of it. I would like to see this Enchantress actually go into with Timbersaw against the Spectre lane. I think if they do that, they can take the tower very early, and then Timbersaw can defend whatever tower DK is trying to pressure, as long as like his tower's dead.
It's a free spirit game. Any of the spirits, I would prefer a Storm Spirit being able to find the Hoodwink against the Enchantress, against the Timber. They don't have a single like reliable stun. You can dodge the Hoodwink's Bushwhack easily. If you have enough mana, you should be able to survive. And you have this global presence. Let's say Dragon Knight gets a Blink Dagger, Storm zips in, Spectre follows up by a Spectre. Suddenly you have 3 heroes where there was only 1 hero or none showing on the map.
How do you feel about Puck as opposed to a
Puck
Spirit?
is also fine. Yeah,
Okay.
Puck's completely fine.
Yeah, the Southeast Asia Pucks during the Animator were just amazing. Armel and Carl were just going to town.
I think most likely they'll pick a support here, though. I think you just want to save your last pick for the DK flex to mid or offlane. They go with the Mirana. They have some good setups, even the Winter's Curse and DK stun. Oh, it's just because of Enchantress as well, right? Yeah. And Bottom did show up at the Animator. The classic Chen slash Enchantress counter, as you can arrow their creeps.
Yeah, we actually saw when Viking were first facing Enchantress against Nigma, they were first banning Mirana also. So it slips through and T1 pick it up.
I think Viking, they should try to dodge the Enchantress to the Miranda matchup. You just put Enchantress in the off lane. Even if they do like a Bottom Spectre safe lane, it guarantees your Timbers are going to have a free lane, even if they get that matchup. And then if they leave the Miranda in off lane, all of a sudden your Enchantress is taking a tower very early.
And here's the Spirit Vessel Carrier. Great way to reset the fight with the Invoker. Quasflex turn into Exhort later on. I love the build that Miracle was doing during the Major, where you get like double null. Then if you want to like fight early on, maybe drums or go back to Hand of Midas to be able to scale and get that like either earn, full Spirit Vessel. So many things you can do with the Invoker these days, and it feels really good, fits the meta.
Yeah, it was so much better than the you and I were seeing a lot of Midas Witchblade.
Witchblade, Midas,
Dude,
Boots of Travel.
Yeah, that was the greediest stuff I've ever seen. These Invokers were do nothing forever.
It's a pretty good pick. This Hoodwink hero seems like if you have any sort of setup on your allies as well, you know, with this one tornado, you can pretty reliably hit that bushwhack on them.
T1 ban out the Wraith King. You think Viking might consider a Faceless Void Invoker combination? Or they need some more early game kind of team fight?
I think it's a pretty good Void game. Did they run it yesterday? Do you know?
They did with the Magnus.
I think so, right? Yeah, right, Magnus mid. It looked pretty good in that game.
Even though there is a save, it's still a great Faceless Void game. A lot of setup for the damage inside a Chrono. I think also, like, Phantom Lancer could potentially be the pick. Just cut into backlines, find Wyvern. Mirana doesn't do anything. Dragonite without mana is pretty useless. And we've seen the hero pairings during the Major with multiple mana burns, like Lion, Invoker, Nyx Assassin. They, in the end, decide to ban the Storm Spirit, which is a good ban. Like
as you mentioned, actually, both Puck and Storm Spirit. They knew what T1 wanted.
Still Ember lingering around if they want to pick that up. Or maybe they'll just send the DK mid and get some initiation from the offlane. And Viking, they get the Faceless Void banned out. Now, this may be crazy.
I think you get Lina for T1, sorry.
Oh yeah, I'd be on board with that. Shad played some Carry Axe at the Pinnacle Cup. You know, pure damage, being able to go through Cold Embrace. Maybe a possibility to deal with that?
Right now, I think they have enough. I think they have enough damage that goes through Cold Embrace compared to game number 1 with Invokers, Spells, Hoodwink, Timbersaw, the best one, in my opinion. I'm just thinking about... I think it's a good PL game. I think
for Viking, right?
For Viking, yeah. Having Spectre and PL doesn't sound.
They did.
Dire
They
team
did. Yeah, that
ban.
would be bad. They did ban out the Faceless Void.
Yeah, they did.
Radiant team ban.
Also,
Dire
Backrider is still
team
available
ban.
in the pool if they want to send DK mid and
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
I'm not one to start complaining
Radiant
about when's the
team
patch gonna drop, that
Enchantress.
kind of stuff, but I gotta say, getting a little tired of the old heal meta. Even though it's only like 2 weeks old, it wasn't even that popular at the end of DPC Season 2.
It wasn't.
Major just turn it all around.
There's a good item. It's called Spirit Vessel.
If you win this game, I'll
Position
do better
4s
now.
can build
10
it. Sometimes
seconds
even the mid
remaining.
laners, Invoker, Void Spirits, you name it. It's
5
the
seconds
greatest item
remaining.
you can get in this healing meta.
But is it better than Holy Locket?
I don't know. Like,
Just fight fire with fire.
You get it from position 5 most of the time. So there's also the spell mechanic. But to go back to itemization a bit, I was a bit skeptical about the Yules on the Tidehunter that game, but in the end it worked out perfectly because Leshrac didn't go for 1, so it's a great setup for a Nyx Assassin or a Lesh Stun, and also being able to dispel the Hoodwink ulti and just buy a bit more time. Also mana regen, which he ended up going for the refresher, so you need to have that mana to be able to get 2 ultis off.
And game number 2 begins, and T1 end up taking the DK, and they follow it up with the Wyvern. Viking GG stick to their Enchantress, ban out the Doom and Nyx Assassin. T1 ban out Abaddon and Broodmother.
I hope Viking pick damage here. Feel like you see this really tanky DK. Again, the same sort of heal.
Vessel.
Great against these two
To be fair though, one of the reasons why this heal meta exists is because this is damage. I hear damage. That's Timbersaw. Yeah, one of the reasons why Holy Locket got so popular, I think, is because Vessel did get nerfed a bit, right? It used to have like that AoE aura, it used to have move speed in it, they just completely removed that, made the recipe more expensive. But yeah, I would have liked to still see it.
Sure.
It was good.
I would still want to see it even if there's a Timbersaw in the game, which in my opinion is the best hero against Wyvern. You set things up for his abilities, the pure damage coming out, suddenly minus 10,000 HP, good against the Dragon Knight, so you could potentially set up the lanes if this is an offlane Dragon Knight, put Timbersaw in 1 versus 1 scenario, run an aggressive tri-lane. With the Enchantress, a lot of things open up for Viking.
And Timbersaw is so good against Wyvern because not only are you good against him in lane, and when he heals someone, you can just keep chunking out that magical damage, but if you curse someone next to Timber, or you curse the Timber next to someone, it does nothing. It's a very high armor against your allies, and it just does no right click at all.
So you worried about Leshrac at all if T1 get their hands on it, or you think Timbersaw is enough of an answer to Wyvern plus Lesh?
I think Leshrac's good versus Timber. It's good versus Ench too, so I can see a Leshrac pick being strong from T1. The one thing about Leshrac for T1 is since our second pick, it will sort of show that Leshrac and Dragon Knight are your 2 and 3 position.
True.
I haven't seen 23 Savage play these heroes, but again, you were mentioning that Carl didn't really play the Leshrac much.
Exactly.
So I guess maybe it's a good pick. It doesn't. They could run the Leshrac 1 and DK Soda 2 or 3.
And they ban it out anyway.
It's probably a good ban.
So what other Wyvern pairings are there? We saw Death Prophet be used to some success. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Silence is always valuable against a Timbersaw.
Radiant team pick.
What others?
Wyvern pairings? I mean, this hero is good enough right now. I don't think you need a specific pairing for it, but I do think you want some damage to follow up on Curse.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a Finger. Great setup. Lion is available. Feels like the strongest hero off the patch, in my opinion, on top of the Wyvern and Dragon Knight. They go with Spectre, okay. You need to be careful. Like, Spectre doesn't do that well against the Timbersaw in the lane, especially if it's Wyvern Spectre. This seems relatively weak, so very abusable by a Timbersaw. You get that level 6. Spectre needs to fall back to jungle immediately. You just don't have enough damage right now. T1's lineup doesn't do much early on. Like, you're going to be relying on Dragon Knight, moving from one side to another, trying to pressure the towers, because Spectre, it's too long of a cooldown. Level 1 ulti, you need to make stuff done, possibly get a kill, go back to farming. Wyvern doesn't get too many levels. Might be the same scenario as the game before, where he hides in the trees, just soak up the experience near that safe lane tier 1 tower. Viking, okay. Another break mechanic against the Spectre, against the Dragon Knight, not too bad.
It gives them some much needed sun. There is some anti-synergy between Timbersaw and Hoodwink just because you might cut that tree. But I think we're pleasantly surprised at the Animator. That team seemed pretty good about that. They were just casting their spells a bit to the side, being very conscientious of it. I would like to see this Enchantress actually go into with Timbersaw against the Spectre lane. I think if they do that, they can take the tower very early, and then Timbersaw can defend whatever tower DK is trying to pressure, as long as like his tower's dead.
It's a free spirit game. Any of the spirits, I would prefer a Storm Spirit, being able to find the Hoodwink against the Enchantress, against the Timber. They don't have a single like reliable stun. You can dodge the Hoodwink's Bushwhack easily. If you have enough mana, you should be able to survive. And you have this global presence. Let's say Dragon Knight gets a Blink Dagger, Storm zips in, Spectre follows up by a Spectre. Suddenly you have 3 heroes where there was only 1 hero or none showing on the map.
How do you feel about Puck as opposed to
Puck is also fine. Yeah, okay. Puck's completely fine.
Yeah, the Southeast Asia Pucks during the Animator were just amazing. Armel and Carl were just going to town.
I think most likely they'll pick a support here though. Like, you just want to save your last pick for the DK flex to mid or offlane. They go with the Mirana. They have some good setups, even the Winter's Curse and DK stun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just because of Enchantress as well, right? Yeah. And Bottom did show up at the Animator. The classic Chen slash Enchantress counter, as you can arrow their creeps.
Yeah, we actually saw when Viking were first facing Enchantress against Nigma, they were first banning Mirana also. So it slips through and T1 pick it up.
I think Viking, they should try to dodge Enchantress to the Mirana matchup. You just put Enchantress in the off lane. Even if they do like a Potom Spectre safe lane, it guarantees your Timbers are going to have a free lane, even if they get that matchup. And then if they leave the Mirana in off lane, all of a sudden your Enchantress is taking that tower very early.
And here's the Spirit Vessel Carrier. Great way to reset the fight with the Invoker Quaswex turn into Exort later on. I love the build that Miracle was doing during the Major, where you get like double null. Then if you want to like fight early on, maybe drums or go back to Hand of Midas to be able to scale and get that like either so many things you can do with the Invoker these days, and it feels really good, fits the meta.
Yeah, it was so much better than the you and I were seeing a lot of Witchblade.
Witchblade, Midas,
Dude, that in China,
Travel.
Yeah, that was the greediest stuff I've ever seen. These Invokers were do nothing forever.
It's a pretty good pick. It just, this Hoodwink hero seems like if you have any sort of setup on your allies as well, you know, just one tornado, you can pretty reliably hit that bushwhack on them.
T1 ban out the Wraith King. You think Viking might consider a Faceless Void Invoker combination? Or need some more early game kind of team fight?
I think it's a pretty good Void game. Did they run it yesterday? Do you know?
They did with the Magnus.
I think so, right? Yeah, right, Magnus mid. It looked pretty good in that game.
Even though there is a save, it's still a great Faceless Void game. A lot of setup for the damage inside the Chrono. I think also, like, Phantom Lancer could potentially be the pick. Just cut into backlines, find Wyvern. Mirana doesn't do anything. Dragonite without mana is pretty useless. And we've seen the hero pairings during the Major with the multiple mana burns, like Lion, Invoker, Nyx Assassin. They, in the end, decide to ban the Storm Spirit, which is a good ban. Like
as you mentioned, actually, both Puck and Storm Spirit. They knew what T1 wanted.
Still Ember lingering around if they want to pick that up. Or maybe they'll just send the DK mid and get some initiation from the offlane. And Viking, they get the Faceless Void banned out. Now, this may be crazy.
I think you get Lina for D1, sorry.
Oh yeah, I'd be on board with that. Shad played some Carry Axe at the Pinnacle Cup. You know, pure damage, being able to go through Cold Embrace. Maybe a possibility to deal with that?
Right now, I think they have enough. I think they have enough damage that goes through Cold Embrace compared to game number 1 with Invokers, spells, Hoodwink, Timbersaw, the best one, in my opinion. I'm just thinking about... I think it's a good PL game. I think
for Viking, right?
For Viking, yeah. Having Spectre and PL doesn't sound too good.
They did. Yeah, that would be bad. They did ban out the Faceless Void.
Yeah, they did.
I was just checking. I was testing you.
Also, Batrider is still available in the pool if they want to send DK mid and maybe make life hell for Timbersaw.
T1 will pretty much just see the hero and see which lane is more pressurable, the carry or the Invoker. And you decide based on that. I think DK farms pretty decently versus Invoker. Not any fears on that front. There aren't too many carries that really put a lot of pressure on DK either. So T1 can pretty much pick whatever they want for their last pick.
Radiant team pick.
Viking's gonna go with a Luna. At least that sounded like a Lucent Beam. It was a Lucent Beam.
Mixed damage. Great against Dragonite. We see Luna being popular against the Timbersaw as well. Also, like any of these tanky offlaners. So... yeah, I think it's a good Lina game. They have like no real way to get into backlines. Timbersaw sustainable to the burst coming out from Lina. Great matchup against the Invoker. Is there anything else? What am I missing, Curtis?
I think just anything that does a lot of damage. I like Lina as well. As long as you can make, because every time you pick up DK in your lineup, I always feel like you're lacking a little bit. Same for Spectre. I'd like to see Lina. What else is there? I mean, there's like some Void Spirit. It's usually a counter pick to Invoker. I could even see a Kunkka. Kunkka's actually pretty good versus heroes. Maybe not so much versus Timbersaw. I could see something like that working. You just want something that when Quaswex Invoker shows his face, you just lock him down. Traditionally, that's been like Storm, Puck, Kunkka. But Lina can work for that too.
Maybe Southeast Asian special of Wind Ranger from mid.
Select your heroes.
Okay.
Well, they've identified that Viking GG, they basically have a single core lineup. They're going to buff up the Luna So maybe their idea is if you BKB and you link this guy, they won't be able to fight you. They have a lot of stuff that if you're running at your opponent, some DK7 plus Haunt and Razor running in, I think it might be hard for a Viking to stand and fight. Not many things to really protect their backline this game.
There's also not that many things jumping the backline. It's pretty much just Haunt, right?
I mean, Razor sort of just runs in there. Same for DK, right? They're very tanky heroes.
I like, once again, what T1's got. I think this Razor last pick is kind of a gotcha, where they're relying on one core to deal the damage. They will buffer up, as you mentioned, with the Invoker, possibly like a Solar Crest. From the Enchantress, I still feel they might run into similar problems where they run out of damage early on from Viking.
5 seconds
Yeah, I think this draft is a little bit less clear-cut. I actually sort of favor Vikings draft a bit, but I think T1 are a slightly better team. They proved at the Animator.
Yeah.
I mean, they're top 3. So I think T1 will win, but I think this game should be a lot closer, or possibly even have Viking win this one.
How critical is it for this Invoker to consider a Spirit Vessel? Is it not an issue because you have enough damage to go through Cold Embrace?
I think his team has enough damage. I don't think he should go Spirit Vessel this game. I think he should play for the scale. When you play Luna lineups, that hero's going to soak up a lot of farm, but she's not a 1v5 hero, especially versus Spectre. So he needs to get a little bit of scale going.
So she's just going to be the Alacrity recipient after like 35.
Yeah, Alacrity, and then you just have some bushwhack into Cataclysm, just kill everyone.
And then as for Razor, what's your expectation, Lacoste? Early BKB just to be able to do that backline siege?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing like maybe a Hood first item, and then see how things transition, either Kaya SNY into BKB or just Hood BKB wouldn't be too bad. Like all you want to do is buy time until Spectre comes online, so you can sacrifice your own item build in this one.
This is a pretty free Timbersaw game, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, we'll see how much you can get away with. Game number 2, if they lose this, they're going to go down to the lower bracket. But for right now, they're riding high. Let's see how it goes down in game number 2 with our casters, Suns Fan and Jenkins.
Thank you, panel. Sunsfan here with Jenkins. That's the... You don't pronounce the J, right?
No.
That's right. Well, this is game 2 of the best of 3. Viking kind of got stopped after the 15-20 minute mark, I want to say. Yep. Are you expecting anything different here, Jenkins?
No, I think both of these drafts look fine. There's no obvious openings for either in terms of something that can be abused, and I think T1 just looks like a significantly better team. Maybe not significantly. Maybe that word is too harsh. I think
you already said it though.
Okay. Well, I can't take that back. Significantly better T1 Dota up against Viking. GG. Let's go.
Okay. You sound really biased, Jenkins. My
yes,
goodness.
of course.
Very biased indeed.
I don't get that. I just like to see good Dota, dude. That's all I care about.
That's all we all want. But there's the bushwhack to start things out. Carl will get first blooded in very easy fashion for Viking. Some damage applied to Kazu, though. He's hit by the arrow. But he is a Timbersaw, so he will survive. Seller actually taking the level 1 Nature's Attendance to heal him back up. And first blood the way of Vikings. So good start for them. This is exactly what they need. But yeah, talk to me about these lineups.
I think Aoi was correct. I think that this is a relatively free Timbersaw game. As we see there, he is getting the first blood. That is definitely going to help out. That hero getting some early Bracer plus Soul Ring, maybe some Orb of Venom. Like, these things really help him out in lane. So that is not necessarily a hero that you want to give first blood, but I think if you were to give it to Boom, it would be even worse. You never want to give the mid laner first blood.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, thoughts on Invoker this game? Actually, let's talk about something else before we get into this. Jenkins, almost called you Cinderin again. Man, it's just really muscle memory there.
Yeah, I got it.
I was calling for a Slark before the Razor pick, that is.
You can call me Cinderin, by the way.
Okay, Cinderin, I really appreciate it. Can I call you a robot as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Slark looked really good this game before they picked up the Luna.
Power.
And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, obviously Slark's just kind of not a hero right now, but your thoughts on Luna as a carry in this meta? Because seen a lot of different analysts give different answers on this. Some people think it's okay, some people really hate it, some say it's just very snowballing. If you just don't continue the snowball, you just get wrecked. Oh, the arrow actually is going to connect on the exact button we're talking about.
Okay, we got a little too hype about that. There's a DK in lane. He has to breathe fire. Yeah, that is not going to get any kills.
So yeah, what's your stance on Luna?
She's fine. She has a really strong 20-minute timing. I think it's hard to farm against her because she just has the built-in Battle Fury, and all of these other heroes, TA, same thing. Same reason why she's pretty strong. Battle Fury heroes got nerfed, so if you want to pick a hero that like has a really... Oh, Kezu might die.
Hey, misses that Timber Chain. Whitemon doesn't really have a ton of damage. It's only 1 level of reactive armor, but it is providing him some pretty good HP regen right now.
Yeah, once again, we're getting a little too hype at these 0 damage.
Kezu very low on HP. Yeah, that's true.
Going up the high ground, he does have the Timber Chain.
I mean, he did miss. Zephyr's going to pop the Fairy Fire there. Now Cuckoo taking some pressure as well. This is... I mean, you kind of brought it up, but the offlane DK this time. Do you prefer a position for this hero?
I like offlane. I think his stun is exactly what you want from an offlaner. I think his tankiness, ability to take towers is what you want from an offlaner. He doesn't do that much damage, and you want your mid laner a lot of the times to be active and do damage.
Right.
So it does make a lot of sense to me as an offlaner, but I think as a mid it's fine as well. The hero's just really OP.
Now, I don't know if you've seen this position 5 DK before. I know that Arkosh Gaming did lose to it one time. The
that was a position 4 DK.
Oh, was it a 4?
Yes,
sorry.
Position 4. I did watch that game.
Yeah, what did you think? Do you think it had some... That's a lot of strength there?
Yeah, I
potential?
said at the time that Theban is a genius and that 4DK is god tier.
I see.
He was way ahead of the meta, legitimately. And so was I with my analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you were hired to every event since then. Cinderin.
What does he even call you? I think he just ignores you.
Yeah, he literally casts by himself. People haven't realized it yet. It's actually just 2 solo casters. Accelerate. Gonna be pretty healthy here overall. And Carl against Boom. All right, EMP looks like it's gonna connect with the right clicks to follow. Fairy Fire is popped though. Boom, forcing him completely out of lane right now. He just gets so many free hits. But you can see the CS. I mean, this is kind of what's expected here from a Quaswex Invoker. Just getting dominated. Doubling up is the Razor.
I don't know if doubling up is what is exactly
expected.
Okay. Yeah, this obvious matchup. We've seen this time and time again.
That's true. This is another hero that's like, we see it offlane sometimes. We see it position 1, like with EG throwing it out there all the time.
Yeah.
We see it mid this game.
I think mid makes a lot of sense because you're just so fast. You can run around and be incredibly active, and from mid lane you can get anywhere. So, literally, I mean, I feel like that's bad analysis, but you look at his third spell, it's literally just move speed. So, like, it's going to be talked about how speedy he is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not like the typical mid laner that you're, super mobile, but mobile in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, literally just he runs fast.
Yeah, he has the most boring passive in the game now, I think.
It's good, though.
It is good.
1% for 1 point.
Yeah,
that's god here.
And 23 Savage in this bot lane. 21-3 in the terms of the last hits versus the 19-5 Luna, so pretty close across the board there. And not, only that 1 kill at the beginning of the game, as we're going to see Carl getting pressured a bit. The cold snap was there. TP actually canceled as we see these little baby golems going a little bit to work here.
The thing is, that rotation doesn't do much because there's no push, so it's just for damage, really. And 23 Savage, he's fine on the bot lane. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is maybe he's not fine. Maybe I'm cursing him.
I mean, this is Kezu's probably his best hero, I would say, the Timber Saw. And, I mean, at a certain point, he's just going to be too tanky to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. I think at some point you're going to have to leave and then probably put the Razor versus the Timber Saw. But in the early game, if you're Spectre, I mean, all you need to do is like sidestep dodge the Timber Saw stuff, which 23 Savage is doing a really good job doing. And he doesn't really pressure you that hard. It's like you have to get slowly harassed down to die to a Timber. And if your support's buying, salves and of course he has the Cold Embrace, you're fine.
Yeah. That's a lot of denies mid, though. 27-12. That is... Yeah. Wow. That is very good CS right now for Carl. He's in the base right now, but this does feel like one of those heroes that scales a lot better than it used to. The Razor, that is. I mean, what kind of a build do you like seeing on this hero these days? Obviously, depending on position.
Yeah, the build now seems to be some Treads build to just be tanky and usually rushing a really early BKB. Usually it's Treads BKB on offlane, but it looks like he's going Treads Yule's BKB because he's a mid laner, so he's gonna have a lot more farm than an offlaner would. I was getting gone on mid.
Where are you going?
Yeah, EMP's actually can connect, so completely out of mana. TP is coming for Whitemon to get to Cold Embrace off. Celery gets his heal off in turn. And this will break things up, but it did require 2 members of T1 to make their way over here. Plasma Field into the static links of Boom. He's actually just going to TP out. He's taking so much damage, and Carl ends up taking him out. A little bit surprising turnaround there for T1.
Yeah, Carl just being... Okay, well, I mean, this does leave 23 Savage bot solo against a Timber. He's not quite level 6, but 23 is going to need to leave pretty soon. But Carl just positioning very carefully against this Enchantress. He doesn't even have vision of it. He just suspected that this rotation was probably coming, given that Chad has been left alone top.
Yep, that is true. Zephyr getting some nice deep ward action here. 23 Savage is getting pressure quite a bit because he's not quite level 6 though, so the Chakram obviously would have a huge impact on his ability to pressure out Savage. And it's only a matter of time before Kezu, I feel like at least, takes over this lane, but... And there we go, the level 6 is now online.
I'm not even sure... I don't think you can put the Razor against this. Even, like, as long as Viking put the supports here, I think just sacking the tower and playing around the Timbersaw and avoiding him is the play. Like, Whitemon's just going to maybe defend this, but he has 2 points in Cold Embrace, so he can't just Splinter Blast this out.
Yeah, he could be kind of a nuisance here. Maybe just delay the inevitable. It's going to pop the fortification to start things out.
Is under attack.
I mean, so many times in the last couple months, we've seen this Tier 1 tower actually be defended a little bit more than I'm used to seeing, at least.
Okay, so Kezu's trying to respond to the pressure top. I really like what Kuku's doing. He sees that this Timber is a real problem, so pressure's top to either get the tower and take a trade or force the Timber top where no objective is going to be taken. And then he TP's bot. Very nice.
And Whitemon pops that Arctic burn. You see the stun come online already onto Shad. Gonna get the nice bushwhack from Aramis to slow things down. Breathe Fire's there. Kuku trying to chase him down. Gets a couple more right clicks in. It's going to tick down just a bit. Oh, actually, Stutter steps there. That might cost him a bit. But no. The TP is going to force out Kuku. But then again, the Luna has to go all the way back to base now. So they end up defending this tower successfully, but it did require a few TPs, of course.
I think that's pretty good for T1 just because of the lurking, Timbersaw problem that we're talking about. You can see here, like, Carl's not even able to really lane against him just because he's so high level on Timber. He's doing so much pure damage. And the only problem here is that Kuku and 23 are in the same area. So 23 now has to go jungle, and Kuku takes the lane, which is a little bit awkward. Spectre doesn't jungle particularly fast, but I don't think you have any other option versus Timber. You need to force him around like this.
Shad with the Morbid Mass, so can start the young, as they call it. Couple points in Moonglaves right now. And, I mean, I feel like the variation in builds for Luna hasn't really been that wide. But then again, a lot of position ones, it feels like that's kind of the case.
Yeah, I think the reason behind that is because, for the most part, usually timings are determined by you as a carry. It's like, the reason that this hero is picked as a carry is because some certain, like, item timing or build is really good, and so everybody else builds around that.
Right, to just be able to align themselves, I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's like what you were saying with the Yule Scepter in the previous game. It's like the Tide had to do that because of the other hero's item timings as opposed to his. It's all about the carries.
That's something that you will never encounter in pubs. Literally ever. Oh, Tornado into EMP. Kuku gets bushwhacked as well. Out of mana completely right now. You see Whitemon in the trees down here. Kuku, he's taking heavy damage. Has to be careful. This is Impetus we're talking about. This is a Timber Saw as well. So basically all of T1 are down here, other than the Spectre. Does not have Haunt right. Carl taking heavy damage thanks to the Chakra with the Impetus on the side. Cold Embrace is there. They don't have enough damage to burst through him though. Dragon Tail onto Kezu into the Plasma Field. This is enough magic damage to take out that tanky Timber Saw. And with that, Viking, actually I was going to say they're going to back up, but instead they're going to try to get the turn, and they do so successfully onto Carl. The question is, can they get out with any more casualties? Dragon Tail, looks like Celery's going to have to sack his life here. Double kill for Kuku. Did cost them their mid-razor, though.
I mean, T1, I don't think that fight should go so well for them, just given the heroes that they have. They didn't have level 6 on either of their supports, and this Timber is completely snowballing, but they're just playing the fight so well with the kiting. Once again, Whitemon with the Cold Embraces and, TPing in on Razor. Even without the move speed buff in his ability, Carl is able to, like, juke and jive there and stay alive until the last possible second. He does eventually go down, but once again, like we talked about it, this Timber's a real problem. You have nothing to deal with him, and so if you're taking these good trades in front of your tower, even if you're losing the tower, I don't think you expect to do that with the heroes that you have right now.
And you can see 23 Savage is, I believe, it's coming now. It's the Blade Mail. So kind of showing Viking, hey, this is what you should have built last game, maybe. Obviously some uncontrollable damage, or AoE, if you want to call it, especially with the Timber Saw.
Luna, you just haunt it when she presses ult, and then Blade Mail, and she murders herself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great counter. It's one of those things that I'm a little surprised that they Viking didn't pick up the Blade Mail, just because I remember back in the day when this Luna and Leshrac hero were getting picked a lot, and Gyrocopter, like Spectre was the answer when Blade Mail was the build. Sure, maybe it's not the best item, but it's the reason that the hero countered those heroes.
And right now, Viking have a slight lead in terms of net worth, and obviously, position one-wise, Luna is going to be one of the fastest farmers in the game, so can't be too shocked with that. 500 net worth lead over the Spectre right now. And into the jungle we go. So Blade Mail obviously going to be helping out, being able to kill those jungle camps, so it gives him, I wouldn't call it flash farm potential, but closes the gap a little bit more on Shad potentially.
Speaking of flash farming, I just heard the Dragonite ult. I was thinking, what the hell? Why did I hear there's a fight going on? He's just using it to farm. Cuckoo's just chilling.
The level 1 Dragon form.
It's interesting to see decisions like that, because it's just not obvious, you know? It's like, oh, I'm going to use this to fight. Well, if you don't think that you're going to fight, or if you're going to farm into fight, then maybe using it to farm a jungle camp. It's so simple, but it's just a little deviation from most pro play that you don't see that often.
Yeah, we're going to see the bushwhack, but the stun comes out onto the Hoodwink, and the ult is going to completely miss as a result. You can see the stacks already taken by Spectre. They did get the deny on that tier 1 tower, which is what they were looking for, but Spectre very low in the jungle right now, but still farming very well overall.
Viking's pretty happy with how the game is going so far, though. It's slowed down a little bit by the fact that T1 just played the bot fight really well, and T1's doing a really good job delaying, but still, you have a 2-tower advantage, and now you have Kezu planted in front of this top tower on Timbersaw. I don't think without like a 5-man rotation, they're going to kill this guy. And so they can just hold this map position right here, where they have all of these heroes separately farming, and there's not much that T1 can do without taking a smoke. I think they need to smoke very quickly right now, which it looks like they are going to do that.
Yeah, while we have this smoke here, oh, maybe we'll just wait on this conversation a bit.
You have to break this map position, right? It's just like 2 towers down. You need to get a tower.
Yep, Dragonform's not in front of the 12 seconds because he did use it for farming, as you said.
He's got
I
it,
see
though.
the courier, so this will give them the avenue in which they know where the Timbersaw should be hiding.
He's got his blink as well. They put a nice ward down, and they're just doing some wraparound on the mid tower.
Boom is invisible in the vicinity, though, so we'll break the smoke if they get any closer, along with that tier 1 tower. Kezu, yep, that's going to be the initiation. Dragon Tail to follow, but the arrow did actually connect. The star from the follow. Kezu taking heavy damage. Actually, Timber Chains into the tree that was right next to him. Big Winter's Curse now. Splinter Blast to follow. Looks like the Sharpshooter did connect onto the Razor, but look at this damage coming out. Shad finally comes in with that ultimate. They blow up Cuckoo now. That's the first casualty here for T1. That's a big one. Now Zephyr initiated on by Kezu. Burst damage out of control right now. So nice turnaround for Viking. They seem to be very ready for that rotation.
Yeah, that was cool. They seemed to... I don't think there was any ward or anything. It was just, you know, how the map was positioned and how all the lanes were pushed in. As you can see here, the arrow does connect, but just with the hook, tanky.
Timber Chain. I don't know, I find that so funny.
And that's all it
Didn't
took,
really
man.
matter.
He just needed a little baby Timber Chain.
I guess so.
He Gucci.
Yeah, this was a... I mean, I thought that T1's definitely going to win this, but then Shaq comes in from the bottom with that Eclipse and turns this thing around.
God, it's always... It always feels weird when... every time we come back, it's Whitemon dying. I don't know. Why does that happen?
I mean, it is a support hero, so it's not the most unlikely thing, I guess. But him specifically, for sure.
Poor guy. It's always him, though.
Kezu is plate mail away from the Lotus Orb, has the hood intact right now. This looks to be a tier 1 for Viking. While we have a little bit of downtime, I do want to talk about Boom's build here. Went for the Spirit Vessel, which the panel was kind of talking about against the, you know, the Cold Embrace and whatnot. So we got the Hold the Forces here again. Cuckoo spotted out. EMP, Sharpshooter, and he's slow thanks to that Ice Wall. That is more than enough for Viking to get yet another kill. 3K net worth lead at 16 minutes. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I like this Vessel build a lot. Oh, as we see, Kezu.
Yeah, but the reason I wanted to bring this up is because a lot of invokers in the major, like Miracle and whatnot,
Midas,
go for
right?
the Midas
Radiant
after the Spirit
outstanding.
Vessel, but we're not seeing that here. He's going for the BKB. What are your thoughts?
This is a very Viking GG sort of thing. This is what they do. They seem to. I would like to ask them about this in an interview. I probably should have done that instead of asking vegan questions yesterday.
I enjoyed those at least.
Thank you. But they do always seem to rush a BKB on one of their heroes. It's sometimes on Boom. It's sometimes on Kezu. Timbersaw is not going to rush a BKB in this game because he's Timbersaw, and so it looks like it's kind of falling on Boom. But he needed the Vessel first.
And we got Cuckoo and Dragon Form. The smoke does the blink initiation again. This time onto the Invoker. Bushwhack only going to connect on one.
Die with me.
And Boom takes a tumble.
They had that chance.
And with this, obviously in Dragon Form, that allow you to push these towers. So the Tier 1 tower looks to be in peril
Dire's
for
middle
Viking.
tower is under attack.
Not sure if Armus can actually defend this. He's just going to take the Blink Dragon Tail again into the arrow.
Dire's
So double kill for
nothing.
Zephyr of all heroes.
Man, and that's just set up by that beautiful ward that they placed down during that first smoke. And okay, immediately gets dewarded by Celery, but just goes to show that what
Dire's top
you know,
tower
smoking and
is
putting
under
vision
attack.
does. Even if you don't get anything
Dire's
off of that play,
structures
you
are
eventually do,
fortified.
as long as you put wards down.
Yeah, look at-
Another one.
This is the third setup now for the arrow into the Starstorm. That's enough burst damage to get through Enchantress again. So Viking getting picked apart right now.
Whitemon is officially, I know we said this in the previous game, but he's officially the MVP again because of the wards. He didn't do anything there, but the prior ward placement is legitimately all that it took. It's hard to like emphasize, like in the game, it just, you don't even know why he's a core player. It just feels good to play.
He did literally nothing, but he's the MVP.
Well, as the core did literally nothing either. They're going to get these pickoffs. Nobody even thanks the support for putting the wards down.
That's true. That's a common practice, though.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this game feels really good right now. Whitemon's like, I put so much effort into those wards.
Poor young man.
And then he dies when we come back to him every single time.
I mean, it's basically even up in terms of net worth, and now they got to find another potential kill onto Boom. And showing that BKB off is Carl with that Razor. Very nicely done, and another value kill. It feels like in the last couple minutes, T1 has turned this around. They were down 3K, which is nothing to scoff at. That was pretty substantial, about the 16, 15-minute mark.
Radiant's
I've just turned this
middle
around
tower
completely
is
with the
under
BKBs,
attack.
but 23 Savage, this is the hero that we were looking for, the Spectre. Almost done with his Manta style, and that's going to amplify a lot of that damage coming after him. And we can see on the net worth, though, that Mr. Luna himself is pretty much farming out of control.
Right, for sure. But this is a reflection of the last game, where you have one lineup that has like a Spectre DK, heroes that aren't particularly fast at farming, and heroes that want to go
bottom
late game,
tower is under attack.
and they're surviving, so they're happy.
Cuckoo gets the whip on himself, gives him that extra move. Very important to distinct this. As Cuckoo takes that Dragon Tail, the Spirit Vessel applied as well, gets the Eclipse off though, and it's going to be enough to take out Zephyr in all likelihood, but Shad is already extremely low here. Can they finish him off? They do with that plasma field, but it will cost them their Dragon Knight. 3 for 1. Definitely not exactly what you want to look for if you're a T1 fan. Carl, Sunstrike. Oh, just off. Of course, it's not that high of a level of Sunstrike, but either way, Carl's going to have the BKB and a static link along with his ult. He's actually trying to stay in this fight. 1 versus 3.
are
Boom,
dead.
it's not going to happen.
Dead.
I like the balls on that play.
Yeah,
I'm
that
not
was
going to lie.
yeah, that was sick. That was sick. He could have just ran away, but he just turns and fights. 1v4.
I mean, they lost 4, right? So that they lose the Luna pretty early here. Is yeah, Carl's like, you know what? Screw it. He was only like 25% HP.
Dire's
I mean, I don't blame him though, because Keza doesn't do any damage when BKB's activated, right? He's just a right-click robot guy.
Yeah.
He's not really a robot.
Which
not
hero?
like you, Synderen. Yeah.
Which hero are you even talking about?
Timbersaw. It's a
Okay.
goblin
He's
in a
the guy
mechanical
in the robot.
vehicle. Yeah.
I got corrected on I said Alchemist was the guy that's being ridden, and people were very mad.
Yeah, that's the ogre. Yeah, that's the ogre. Nobody notices the true alchemist, the greed man. It's Whitemon getting picked off again. Anytime Jenkins talks, he dies.
No, it's the replay. Stop putting the replay up, and he'll stop dying.
Yeah, true. Ooh, arrow actually connects on the Satyr, so Sally has to pick up something else now. So with that last fight, obviously, like I said, they lose Shad, who's a top net worth in the game, but they get 4 kills on the top of it, and Viking back in the lead again. They're going to try to get this Roshan. It's already at half HP. It is being scanned out, so T1 do know this is happening. Moonlight Shadow is activated. They have the sentry down. They can see this, though. Plasma Field, Spirit Vessel into the Tornado. Tornado will not clip him as Kuku actually jumps into the thick of things. Hot is popped as well. Boom now on the run. You can see the Meteor, and Kuku is in a lot of trouble, but those illusions are doing so much damage on that Spectre. On the cliff, Sunstrike with the Chakra. Do they have enough damage to take him out? They do with that Timber Chain, and that should secure them Roshan now.
Really nice poking from Viking there. They didn't commit, and they were kind of just throwing long-range spells and force out Carl's BKB when he didn't really want to use it. He was trying to reset by losing only 10-20% HP and then walk back in with the BKB, but he wasn't able to do that because they were just poking him from far away.
They still have Curse here.
Yeah, but they're dead one. Both times they're missing one person.
This would be pretty risky if they try to go for this Roshan. Armix taking so much damage. The Starstorm and the Red Clicks is enough. Back to 4v4 now, but Whitemon again. We didn't have a replay at that time. Sorry about that. As we had Roshan being successfully taken by Viking, so Shad will have the Aegis now. Let's see how they're able to use this in the next 5 minutes.
There are some solo kills going the way of T1 though, where I think you're pretty happy that these are happening, despite being in a game where you're obviously losing in terms of tempo right now. But the solo kill for where Carl got the kill on our Lunator, that's pretty big because you have one of the highest level heroes dying, and then of course Aramis running in and getting a solo kill as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who would you
going down?
Who would you favor at this state of the game? 2K network lead for Viking. They have the Aegis.
I think Viking have the ability to push. So I think them having a lead, even though T1's late game is pretty incredible, I think that Viking can still push. But if you're T1, it's not an insurmountable gold lead by any means.
Yeah, this is still relatively close.
It really depends on how the next fight goes, but we do have an Aegis on Viking now, so...
Yeah, win probability is almost 50-50, slightly in favor of T1, actually, that Spectre late game potential. And we have seen these Lunas kind of fall off a cliff at a certain point with 1 or 2 bad deaths. Looks like T1 are going to find the Enchantress. Spirit Vessel's applied and essentially backstab them there. So that gives them the numbers advantage at the very least. Moonlight Shadow still applied right now. It's going to be spotted out.
Three peeking in.
That won't last very long though. Dragon Tail's going to be reflected thanks to that Lotus Orb. Bushwhack onto 2. And here comes the Eclipse. There's a lot of creeps to tank that up. Look at this damage to Kuku, and yeah. He's able to be bursted down by Kezu. Timbersaw very good against Dragon Knight. Who would have thought?
Viking.
Yeah, Viking thought that. And with that 4K net worth advantage and the Aegis, we'll see if they can go high ground.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So we do have Haunt still on 23, so he can come back to this fight, but 22 seconds on our Razor, so that means that this tower, at the very least, is probably going to go down before he comes back alive.
Yeah,
and then maybe we take the fight.
This is an Alacrity Luna, and once this tier 3 goes down, this is where Luna really shines.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
And it looks like this is going to be, at the very least, a melee Rax. You have to think they come in here despite having 5 available heroes on T1 side. Yeah, that's a full set of Rax. You can see the TP's coming in, though. Arrow is going to connect on Luna. Remember, he has Aegis, so Carl with that BKB, not scared of anybody right now. Shad getting forced out, getting healed now. And a T1 doesn't look like they want to go in. EMP not going to really connect on anybody as Carl's getting turned around on. Gets the Cold Embrace off. The Sunstrike is coming, though, with the first damage from Kezu is enough to finish. Shad continuing his onslaught here. They lose the Hoodwink, but it's 4v4. And inside the enemy base, Kuku. Again, just Shad is just doing way too much damage right now with that Alacrity applied. Can they actually turn this around onto 23 Savage? He's pretty much out of mana, but there's the curse.
Oh, he's dead.
Invoker is, his own buff turned against him. Very sad to see if you're a Viking fan. Now, Shad wants to back up here with the rest of his team. Still has the Aegis, though. But yeah, they don't have the numbers anymore, so they will be very happy with that full set of Rax.
Nice curse from Whitemon, once again. Really good patience. You get that Rax, though, just because of those early deaths on T1. It's awkward. You don't want to buy back on DK because if you don't have the Razor alive, you're not fighting that regardless. So it's like that buyback just doesn't matter.
Right.
They need both.
The prize is mine.
Shad has his Scotty fully intact. We didn't even talk about the SNY with Dragonlance. He was queuing up Hurricane Pike, but might actually go for Butterfly instead now. Yeah, that looks to be the case. So, and this Luna is super scary right now. Gonna be spotted out here, but nobody wants to go on her. Let's just assume everybody's behind her. Of course, the Aegis, like we talked about, still there. But tier 2s are still online for T1 in the mid and the top lane. So I think from Vikings' perspective, are you... Oh, I was going to say I'm going to wait a little bit, but no. They're going to get that bushwhack off, and yeah! Sniped out by Aramis.
That's an insane amount of damage.
That's Hoodwink. The hero that everybody hated at the major, except for you and me.
You know what? We repped Hoodwink. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I was like, it's okay.
Yeah, so was I.
It's not amazing.
Everybody's like, oh, this hero's complete garbage.
Yeah.
It is a bait though, because it's really fun. So that's the issue with it. Is it's like, is it garbage? Am I just?
Razor up in 20 seconds, and again with this alacrity, Shad. No more Aegis though. We'll have the wand now instead. Looking for this mid racks. You can see Whitemon on the sideline here, looking for a good curse potentially.
Radiant's middle barracks.
We saw it work pretty well last time. This is going to be a full set of racks again.
Middle barracks
so Viking, 2 full racks on their side, and they, if they want, can just get control of the map and go for the second Roche whenever it comes up.
Whitemon's kind of setting up here, but it is awkward with how the Winter's Curse works now.
Right.
So you don't get that extra duration if there are no creeps.
Oh, we do have... Okay, this is kind of scary. We have to keep an eye on Whitemon on the bottom right of your screen to make sure that he doesn't die here.
Uh-oh, they're smoking.
Yeah, we can see that the Winter's Curse, they're pretty freaking good. As that's quite zoomed in. Whitemon's alive! What is this?
Oh, all it takes is laughter.
I actually love the fact that all the players have their cams on.
It's good.
It makes it so much more enjoyable,
it's good
actually.
Stuff, yeah.
All right, they're going to try to initiate onto Kezu. Haunt is out as well. Plasma Field to follow. They will be able to get 70 seconds on the deck. No buyback whatsoever. In the Haunt, finally being expended Celery. We had the Winter's Curse and the Dragon Tail. Not the greatest layering from T1, but regardless, they will find this kill on the Enchantress. And we'll see if he has... No buyback on him either.
Yeah.
5 versus 3, Jenkins. How much damage can they do here?
I'm pretty sure they can go high ground on T1. Then again, if I'm T1, we don't know whether these heroes have buyback or not.
True.
There's a lot of like these random mixed items on both of these heroes. There's nothing that really indicates that like they wouldn't have buyback. They haven't bought back. They haven't bought out any like crazy new items, nothing like that. So play the map. I think 2 racks down, you still have a Spectre. You know, that you can go back and push out the base and still have the Haunt available to like take plays across the map with like the DK stun. So it's really not the worst lineup to have a two racks deficit. You know, obviously you don't want to play with 2 racks deficit, but if there's any one that you want to play with, it's some heroes that have global like this.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure they've been in this scenario before. All these Spectre players are used to having to, you know, just give up the laning stage, at least historically.
It seems like every game.
Like, all right, we'll just be down like 5-6K, you know, 30 minutes in the game, but we can come back because it is a Spectre after all.
Yep.
Who now has the Scotty, working towards a Basher now, it looks like. And yeah, I mean, the networks aren't like... Obviously, Luna has a great advantage right now, but it could be a lot worse for sure on T1's side, like you said. And we'll see how much net worth Viking are able to expand upon here with this 2 racks advantage.
That is something.
Theoretically, when you get the racks down, you should be able to get good map control and just kind of starve them out. We're gonna have a 5-man smoke from Viking as they make their way towards. Yeah, Roshan not up yet, so even if they get a pick, it won't be into a Roche. Although it looks like the timer's pretty low.
Viking, it looks like they're drawing a pretty long wraparound here.
Yeah, they're showing Kezu in the mid lane.
Oh my god, amazing positioning though from T1.
Yeah, we have the Moonlight Shadow. Will they initiate onto Kezu again is the question.
They've got
See that sentry being placed here. They have a little bit of vision. There's the initiation. They're going to try to find a Hoodwink to start things out. Looks like he's going to be the first casualty for Call pops his BKB. Static Link applied to Bloom. Trying to TP out. Will not be successful though. 5 versus 3 just like that. And with the number numbers advantage. T1 can clean up Kezu relatively easily. The Yules will keep him alive a little bit longer, but not long enough. Double kill for Cuckoo, and now Celery is in a lot of trouble. Will be chased down here. Spectral Dagger's not there yet, but there's the defusal. The inhibit, as we like to call it, Jenkins. And that is going to be the fourth dead with 0 trades. And Roshan is up. This is where it gets really scary for Viking.
That is such cool presence of mind from Cuckoo. Just knowing that Kezu is obviously baiting there. You could see that T1 predicted the smoke. I don't know who called that, but just knowing that that smoke was happening and then seeing Kezu break it like that, Cuckoo knows that there's a backline that he can jump on. And it's basically the perfect hero for that. You don't want the Enchantress. She is a support, but she's very tanky. They get the Invoker and the Hoodwink. Like, these are the 2 heroes that you want to get. And he guessed. He just guessed. He knew that they would be there because of where the Timber was positioned.
Yeah, I can see the warding there from Viking.
That's Viking. Yeah, they didn't.
Just a blind pick, and it worked out quite well.
Just like, I mean, insane game sense.
All right, let's keep an eye on Whitemon here as we come back from the replay.
Everybody's dead, so I hope. Oh, thank God.
He didn't die to Roshan.
Thank God, my boy.
But yeah, this game in terms of networks is going to be very even now, but this second Rosh is a huge deal. It's going to be the Aegis, Cheese, and Shard.
Okay, let's talk about the Shard, because I know this is your favorite part.
It is.
What is Razors?
None of them are that
Razors
good.
is garbage.
Actually, AUI thinks the Sunstrike? No, not enough to kill him. Maybe the Aegis. Let's see who takes the Shard.
Yes!
Okay, it will be on Spectre. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We see the EMP. Carl's going to pop the BKB. Static Link applied to Kezu. Timber Chains, but it's still in range of the Static Link. That's a lot of damage being stolen for Carl to try to right-click. The Winter Scar's down. The BKB target for now to boom. 23 Savage taking a ton of damage in the meantime. The Golden Blade keeps him alive for a little bit longer. But remember, he does have the Aegis. The Dragon Knight dies, so that's a pretty big deal for T1 as the buybacks are coming. Now the chase on, we see the bash onto Kezu in the meantime. 22 Savage trying to do as much damage as he can. The cheese is popped by Razor in the meantime. They'll be able to take out the Invoker who popped back already. Now the Static Link on the shot. This is going to be T1 taking this fight very easily. And they have the Aegis advantage.
Wait up.
Celery again, the slowest kill here. I think they've turned this around successfully, Jenkins.
Absolutely. I mean, once again, Whitemon. I know all we do is talk about this guy, whether it's the camera coming back to him. Oh, okay. 23 Savage
being shown. Oh, the bash! Mid-Timber Chain. Now the Arctic Burn applied. The bash continues. And Kezu is down for 70.
Wow.
My goodness.
Did they have... And they must have had vision of him walking into there. I mean, that's still really cool. 23 Savage, he doesn't have ult, but once again, with how this game is progressing, you know, even Spectre late game, you're winning the fights, you have the tempo. I think you're just okay with like not getting anything off of this, you know? You'd like to get some towers, but if you just farm and like take over the map, you're okay with this.
Yeah, I mean, Aegis and Cheese were used, so you're not going to have that right now. The Shard was picked up by Spectre like we talked about, which is the Dispersion active, so you can cast it and you just go to the person that damaged you last in the last 5 seconds. I don't know, is this good? I feel like the fact that the Ags is almost the same thing.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm way too stupid to understand if this is good or not. I'm also, I did play carry with Capitalist Dota for about a month and we lost 1400 MMR. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this is the best Aghanim Shard in the game, at least top 5.
Oh, top 5, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the meme right now. We call everything a top 5 shard in the game.
Yes,
yeah, this one is uncharted territory. I haven't seen it. I mean, I just have a problem like conceptually that both the Ags and the Shard are like relatively the same idea.
You have a lot of problems with Dota concepts.
That's true.
Let's get started with Legion Commander for a second.
No, don't. We're not going to get off on this tangent. I'll be, first of all, just the cosmetics alone. The fact that it's not somebody riding a fat horse with a mustache is a real issue with me. But that's another story.
I didn't go there, but...
Yeah, the Dota 1 model is the greatest model of all time. But yeah, T1 has turned this game around completely, Jenkins. Despite being 2 barracks down, do you think, like, what was the turning point in your opinion?
I think T1 just playing really patiently and getting that like backline pick off, playing the high ground, waiting for an opportunity to...
How many Forge Spirits have been killed by T1 this game? That's a good trivia question.
That's a very good question. Wait, where? Oh. How many? Okay, let's see. 69.
Okay, I'm going to say 12.
I stand by my answer. No,
14. Okay. That was very close.
I was going for the gold value, obviously.
Okay.
And I was closer. You said 12.
Yeah, I think I win this one. Sorry, Jenkins. Sorry to break it to you. We've got 3-man smoke down from T1.
Radiant are scanning.
Now, what can Viking do to get back in this game? It's like we said, it's flip-flopped. So from the other side now, what can Viking do?
I think both lineups are not the... Both lineups are okay with going late. DK is probably like the underrated late game hero here. He doesn't have eggs yet.
Oh, Celery. See Zephyr and company now in the Moonlight Shadow. Up Celery.
Whew, he's crazy far out of base.
Yep, he sure is, but looks like he's going to be just fine.
Who's killing this creep? He's like, why the hell is this thing so tanky? it was just an Enchantress Ursa sitting in the camp.
It's like the old days with the Ogre Magi.
Oh, yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, that was nice. Lifestealer used to be a Scourge creep model. Ogre was a jungle creep.
Did that ever work because it was good, or were people just so bad at Dota back then?
What, the Lifestealer or the Ogre?
The Ogre.
I mean, the Ogre, that's the only time I've ever seen is that one YouTube clip.
Okay. So we really did.
But it was a classic, no doubt.
I didn't play back then, but...
I mean, there was a clip recently where somebody was infested in a creep, and they kind of did the same thing.
I did see that.
Yeah.
That was SA DPC, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see the Spectre talents. I mean, these are like the very standard ones I feel like most people have been taking.
It's so hard to determine who exactly wins in the late game these days because there's 60-minute neutral items that all do ridiculous things. Every hero has crazy 25 talents that just make them Goku. You know, so then DK is just flying off of the map. Like, these things make it very hard to determine who exactly wins in the late game, and I feel like it's just often determined by who plays the map better, who's better at taking the right team fight, and, you know, getting the right jump. And T1, especially Cuckoo, has done such a good job with this, and then Whitemon staying alive and being that backline encounter initiator.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this 20 talent for Dragon Knight? I've seen a lot of people take the Dragon Form attack range in the Animajor. Obviously, the 20 strength is, I mean, obviously always going to be good for Dragon Knight in general.
There you go.
So you have to hold that thought. Jenkins, Celery getting initiated on for now. Tornado from high ground. Does connect, but it's going to be a full static link. And yeah, Celery just he's healing a lot. But
just not
it won't be enough. There's too much damage.
I would imagine Razor's a pretty high win rate hero versus Enchantress. Against a lot of these heroes, honestly. Even Timbersaw. Any hero that wants to sit there and just, like, slowly heal or slowly, like, man-fight you, Razor's like, okay. He just peels through your armor, does so much damage.
Yeah, I feel like those stats that were just shown for the talent, it makes sense that just the pure stats is always going to have a higher win percentage as Cuckoo. All right, initiate. Oh, he's going to pop the BKB, so we'll get out just fine. But anytime it's something like, I mean, the attack range only works during the ult.
Yeah.
Right? So it can technically be situational, I guess.
I think also as an offlaner, you're
wait, the win percentage is actually higher on that side.
I think as an offlaner, you're not going to have, like, you want to be tanky. You want to just go in and be the guy that starts fights. You're also not going to have, like, crazy stat items. If he's a mid DK, he might have some, like, overwhelming blink plus AC right now. So he actually does damage. And so the attack range makes sense if you have damage already. But as an offlaner, it's like the 20 strength is like, okay, finally I can do damage somehow.
It's also much smaller sample size as well, 15% versus 85% pick rate. So could be a little deceiving perhaps. As we see Spectre, he's actually going for a nullifier. And one of the, I don't want to call this the item of the patch, but extremely good. Obviously dispelling the Ghost Scepter and any Yules and whatnot. He just wants to make sure that he can actually right-click. He's actually going to use a Dispersion talent, I think. With that Manta style, there's somebody he's already at half HP. He's going to hop back in. Will they kill Aramis to start things out? Absolutely. And look how squishy Kezu is right now. Yeah, this is just getting out of control in T1's favor. Cuckoo just feels like he's just this really tanky guy that you can't kill, ever.
Yeah, he's literally flying over everything, including the entire map of Dota, so... setting up a bomb.
Yeah, Dragon Tail into arrow, and another Manta used for 23 Savage, and this is... He actually went Aghanim Scepter, so he has the upgraded version, if you want to call it, for the show.
He's just haunting everywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
very cool.
It's really cool. It does make a lot of sense when you have a I mean, they're winning, but we have a 2 racks deficit, right? So you can sit in base and push out creep waves, and you have 3 different ways to get back into the fight. It's like he uses 2 haunts.
He just becomes super mobile.
It's a lot of illusions as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the illusions do a lot of damage at this point.
Well, I was going to ask you this question, because it's not something that we see ever, is the 25 talent for Spectres, the 32% haunt illusion damage. Do you know if that is literally just for the ultimate, or will it apply with the Ags and the Shard?
That applies to everything.
So why not take that then? This would be the time to take it. See the Dragon Tail arrow, not quite going to connect because of the 4-stack coming out. But there's the Winter's Curse, and yeah, Luna is absolutely destroying her teammate right now. Shad gets bashed in the meantime with that BKB activated. Invoker's up in a couple seconds. You can see 23 Savage not too worried about his life right now, despite not having Aegis. Will TP out with the BKB. They forced a couple buybacks, and T1 will get out successfully, at least for now.
T1 is just such a disciplined team. I say that. Zephyr, he has one more leap.
Yeah.
Okay, good vision though from
Roche
Viking.
is up.
No, they don't see him.
Yeah, Roche is up now. I mean, with the haunt down, and the Aghanim Scepter inside Roshan now, I feel like this is Vikings' only opening. This is their best way to come back into the game, is this Roshan.
We have haunt up in 9 seconds with the double damage on 23.
Yeah.
You can't fight this.
Yeah. Roshan, I mean, they are killing it pretty fast thanks to the Alacrity. Cuckoo gets off a Breathe Fire to reduce some of that damage inside. And this could be the beginning of the end. Could be a 2-0 here for T1 if they're able to clean up this fight. Plasmifield comes out. Still trying to pressure the Roshan. Shad and company, I feel like they need to commit here. You can see the Dispersion talent. Now Shard coming out. Oh, Static Link. They're going to get the match up with that haunt. And yet Luna is dead to start this fight. And that means Viking cannot win. 2 dead in the blink of an eye. Now the Lotus Overfly not going to be enough though as a right clicks. Double kill for Zephyr, 3 dead for Viking, and nobody even damaged really on T1 side. This is going to be the Ags, Shard, or the Ags, Aegis, and Cheese.
T1's patience in these fights is
good attempt here. Can't get in the pit though. He's going to get static linked into the death now.
Yeah, T1's patience in these fights is really blowing my mind. We didn't have a great opportunity to, like, at the major, we're kind of watching all these games going on at the same time on 2 different screens from really far away, so it's nice to, like, in an actual replay, be able to watch how T1 is playing these fights.
Yeah.
They're really slowly kind of poking at Viking, and then only initiating, only going in when they see some opportunity to go on and avoid the hero, or when something important has happened, such as like a BKB being wasted, or somebody stepping out of position. And it's really cool. I mean, usually you see just like, you see the enemies, you like jump, you go for the back lines, right? But T1, like the way they're doing it is they're kind of baiting Viking in and out, and then they're making those opportunities happen as this kind of like dance prior to the team fight happens, and it's just really cool to watch.
Yeah, and not that it matters that much. I just love talking about it, Jenkins. But the Razor did pick up the Ags, so you're going to have that Eye of the Storm striking 2 different units, and it hits buildings as well. He was already going to build it
3 units. He has got the talent.
The 25 talent on top of that, and the
strike interval.
And the Refresher Orb.
Yep.
This hero is a monster when you get to this stage.
Let's count the number of Eye of the Storms. It's 6.
Okay.
I did the math.
So you can see that the pick rate is much smaller for the +1, but that's because it's typically a different build.
God, my mind is blown. Okay, they dropped the Spell Prism on the ground, so Cuckoo could pick it up, press the Dragon form with no cooldown, and then they dropped it on the ground again, back to Carl, who's going to use it.
Yeah, that's good
for
stuff.
the Refresher Orb. Okay, that is blowing my mind. I've never seen anybody abuse that. I literally made some ESL video about that, so I couldn't think of anything to make. And I've never seen anyone do it.
Relevant, unbelievable. As you can see the curse come out, and yeah, with a 37k net worth advantage, T1 should be able to take this relatively easily. Cuckoo, he is getting somewhat low. Kezu does a lot of damage to him at this stage of the game, but the racks, you can see that Razor just rips right through all the buildings right now, and T1 looking very strong despite being down in this game. They came back with a vengeance halfway through. We're just seeing some cleanup kills. Into the fountain we go. I'm not even going to pretend to hypecast this because this game is mega over. GG's are called, so Viking will be going to the lower bracket, Mr. Jenkins.
Good lord. I mean, what is there to even say? That's like the amount of skill things that happen in that game. And I've literally never seen any team do that before. You know, you can theory craft these things. You're like, oh, that's so stupid. It's so impractical. They actually
we're gonna lose the game because we give them opportunity. It's like we jump the Timber and oh yeah, it's Timber. We cannot kill him. Yeah.
I noticed a lot of item builds I really liked from you guys, like the Blade Mail into Manta, Scadio Spectre, even like your Treads Dragonlance Viper. I was wondering if you could talk to us a bit about, are item builds on your team all individually made, or are they sort of a team consensus and you talk about it in the game?
I think we're talking it as a team, and we thinking if it's really good, like the Blade Mail Spectre. It's like there's like a right click or uncontrollable damage, something like Luna, Leshrock, something like that. Then the Scadi is like, yeah, it's good item for Spectre for sure.
Any chance you heard the stream that Zhao8 did? Apparently, you guys, LGD and T1, were scrimming quite a bit, and you guys were doing quite well against LGD in those scrims, and it was a few losses that eventually made LGD turn things around. Did you feel that like, LGD was a threat in scrims before the Ana Major, or were they looking pretty easy for you guys?
That time they gonna fight the Enigma first before we scrim them, but we really know that they are the strongest team in the Ana Major, and when we scrim them, it's like it's a good practice for us, so we do 100% on the scrim, but we fail on the tournament.
Yeah. And, third place, is that a fail for you guys? What were your expectations coming into Anime Major?
We don't expect like so much as when we playing the Anime Major. We just wanna win some series to qualify for TI because that's our goal as a team.
Yeah, did 23... Sorry.
Okay.
Did 23 Savage brought his Lucky Buffalo with him to the Anime Major?
I think he did not. That's why.
Maybe that's why.
That's why.
Big mistake there.
That was a big mistake. I remember. I told you specifically, but I don't know, luggage issues. Well, we'll see. Maybe the spirit of the Buffalo is within him now, and he's absorbed it. But congratulations on your win, and again, congratulations on your top 3 finish. I guess my last question would be: now that you're qualified for TI, who do you think is going to make it through the Southeast Asia TI qualifiers?
It's really hard to say because I think if you see the C teams right now, they are all good. It's like, yeah, I'm not really sure, but I favor like TNC is my highest chance to qualify for TI. Then the next one is like, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's typical for the region, but you're out of the mix right now, and I'm